I have been drugged and graped, 7 hours knocked out of my right mind, into a black sack where I relax fetus or cat, lever of his wet dreams. Something is gone. My sleeping capsule, my red and blue zeppelin, drops me from a terrible altitude. Carapace smashed as I spread to the beaks of the birds. Oh, little gimlets, what holes this papery day is already full of. He has been burning me with cigarettes, pretending I'm a negress with pink paws. I am myself, that is not enough. The fever trickles and stiffen. Wait, hold on. Let me see this. Let me get it close. Okay, there we go. The fever trickles and stiffens in my hair. My ribs show. What have I eaten? Lies and smiles. Surely the sky is not the color. Surely the grass should be rippling. All day gluing my church of burnt matchsticks, I dream of someone else entirely, and he for this subversion hurts me. He with his armor of fakery, his high cold masks of amnesia. How did I get here? Indeterminate criminal, I die with variety, hung, starved, burned, hooked. I imagine him, impotent as distant thunder, in whose shadow I have eaten my ghost ration. I wish him dead or away, that it seems is the impossibility, that being free, what would the dark do with fevers to eat? What would the light do without eyes to knife? What would he do without me? Right? So then it says here, we, your blood family, will do all we can. So then she says here, turn 17 years old, to send you away and take away your life, ticking time with shortened schedules and waving all my absent days to fit the scheduling of vile men. Waving all my absent days, that means she's still going to school. Right? That means she's still going to school. That's how young she is. Ticking time with shortened schedules and waving all my absent days to fit the schedule of vile men was worth it? No, do not answer that. I know I never have been. Right? So then we go to this here. Right? Here it says, beyond our town where the wilder things are, I hope you like your banner. Wait, what does it say here? Hold on. I hope you like your banner. I worked super hard on it just for you. I'm so happy that we're so close now. And don't worry, I won't forget about you while I'm in California and Florida. I mean, who could forget you? Lol. New way. Has been great. Talk to you later. Redacted. Who sent her this? Was it Epstein? Whoever sent her this is redacted. Right? But the crazier thing is, he's saying, I mean, who could forget you? Lol. Anyway. Has been great. Yeah. It's kind of weird in my opinion. And this was said in July the 20th, 2001 or 2000. But whoever sent her this is redacted. Right? But let's read this part now, okay? What she says here. I will never be able to forgive myself for not being able to tell you what Miss Vicky does and what really happens in Florida and California. I hope you don't ever meet Fat Pig Weinstein or the rest. Harvey Weinstein? Is that who she's talking about? So Harvey Weinstein was also here. Was also there, present. I hope you don't ever meet Fat Pig Weinstein or the rest. Right? So that's what she's saying here, okay? And then here it says, even from 1,000 miles, old men and children. And then here it says, for all the bills out there worrying about their Chelseas, Harvard. Right? So then she says here, it doesn't matter how far away you are, no matter how good you think they are, even the old president, they will get you. He should have been thinking of Chelsea, gross. In a plane, on a yacht in New York, in DC, at the vineyard, on the island in Palm Beach, it doesn't matter. Disgusting pigs like Alan Dershowitz and Mr. Carruthers and even Mr. Islam will hurt you, especially if Jelaine is busy or not with you. Chelsea Clinton? Because she says old president. Was Clinton still president in 2000? Was Clinton still president in 2000? Or was it Bush? No, it was Bush, wasn't it? So that's why she said the old president. That makes sense. She says the old president. Because Clinton was the old president at that point in time. So Bush was inaugurated January 2001, and Clinton was the old president then, right? That's what she's talking about. So when she's saying Chelsea, he should have been thinking of Chelsea. Gross. That's why it says here, for all the bills out there worrying about their Chelseas. Bill Chelsea. I'm guessing. She's saying he should be ashamed of himself? Is that what she's saying? That he should be thinking of the fact that he has a daughter and he's doing that? Because his daughter was probably around the same. How old was Chelsea Clinton? Hold on. How old was Oh, what did I do? Chelsea Clinton in 2000. 12. She was 12 years old. So basically, this man, Bill Clinton, is raping children that are as old as his daughter. Right? Allegedly. This guy was raping children as old as his daughter. Or like, no, Chelsea is older. Check again. Hold on. Oh, no. She was 12 when he became president. Okay. So in 2000, she was 20. Okay, so then he's raping children who are younger than his daughter. Because she was 20. My bad. Sorry, y'all. She was 20. So if she's 20 years old, he was raping children that were younger than his daughter. Which makes it even sicker in a way. Hold on. Was Chelsea Clinton at Harvard. Yes. She was accepted at Harvard University, but then instead went to Stanford. And then in 2015, spoke at Harvard. So then it makes sense why she wrote Harvard here. Right there, you see that? So she is talking about Chelsea Clinton. Right? So it doesn't matter how far away you are, no matter how good you think they are, even the old president, they will get you. He should have been thinking of Chelsea Gross in a plane on a yacht in New York and DC at the Vineyard on the island in Palm Beach. It doesn't matter. Disgusting pigs like Alan Dershowitz or Mr. Carruthers and even Mr. Islam will hurt you, especially if Jelaine is busy or not with you. And then, crazy. She wrote here, old men and children, even from 1,000 miles, old men and children. Right? Never imagined the tears her future held, poured out on an ocean of tears, pain. This is the baby. This is the girl I told you guys was pregnant multiple times and her baby was taken away from her multiple times. And she also had a miscarriage. She was underage when she was pregnant. So this girl was underage when she was pregnant. And then she says, I've got myself a winner. That's an ultrasound, exactly. That's an ultrasound. And what does she say here? I feel broken and exhausted. I'm so fucking tired of this sick and twisted game that is causing such physical and emotional pain. Physical and emotional pain. Oh my God. So the physical and emotional pain of carrying a baby. Oh my God. Victim of his own, maybe she's born into it. See how she canceled the with and wrote into? Never to be seen and heard. 1 minute I was a nobody, the next a stealth closer. High excitement of videos of a child. Oh God. High excitement of videos of a child. All night. A risky power play. Sad. Luxury lifestyles. Perverse. He wanted young girls. Oh my God. He wanted young girls, a teen blonde beauty. She wanted her childhood back. No men she trusted. The painful moments, the truth broke her heart, betrayed. Am I the only one who has goosebumps reading this? Like, am I like the only one who has goosebumps reading this? Because I have really like bad goosebumps reading this document right now. I feel nauseous. What is this? World's greatest graduate. Congratulations. We missed one of the documents, by the way. It says here, These pigs who call themselves smart and talk about Harvard act worse than animals. They make a bad name for animals, just fucking sick. Mr. Sauerkraut Kraus and Martin Minsky are gross, but I felt sort of sorry for Mr. Novak. He was as uncomfortable as me. Oh, God. Oh, God, there were multiple men, y'all. There are multiple men, y'all. Oh, God. He was as uncomfortable as me. Ivy League schools do not equal smart or good. Ivy League schools do not equal smart or good. 100%. 100%. It seems more like trash. Yucky, but they can't behave. The disgusting Mr. Staley, if anyone ever calls me Tinkerbell again, I will lose my mind. He left bloody marks on my arms from his belt and thought he had the right to call me that when he has ears as big as a Dumbo. I should have called him that in return. You have been a very, very naughty girl. Okay, what does this say? Only once is it possible for someone to find a woman with such unsurpassed beauty. Every moment in your presence is like experiencing heaven on earth. The sound of your voice tickling my ears is like the sound of angels singing. But when we are about on the balcony, I long just to have you in my glance and sit about what is this? I hate that it's like missing. Sit about. Where is the when we are apart? I'm confused. Oh, but when we are apart. There we go. But when we are apart. Okay. But when we are apart, oh, the agony. I long just to have you in my glance. I sit around longing to be near you, longing for your sweet, what is this? Soprano? Your sweet, soprano. It is soprano, right? Okay, I thought it was what's called. To fill the air. But the most with knowledge that I will see you again soon, another day, another dream. But I'll rest, okay. I'll rest with the knowledge that I will see you again soon, another day, another dream, anonymous for now. Anonymous for now. Weeping teenage girl in the small dark hours just before dawn. Picture perfect. Balancing act. Giggly, natural, soft, kind-hearted, cute, shy girl. Battle. Intelligence, simplicity, born, humble, small, generous, little traits. Jeffrey loves. Ugh. Weeping teenage girl in the small dark hours just before dawn, balancing act, battle, beauty dies, shattered, no dreams, her tragic end, attacked, and it was a long, tragic trail of tears. Little traits Jeffrey loves for the person who has everything. Then she wrote this again. Well, she didn't write this. This was like a poem that she found and she decided to clip in her journal. This man makes a pseudonym and crawls behind it like a worm. This woman on the telephone says she is a man, not a woman. The mask increases, eats the worm, stripes for mouth and eyes and nose. The voice of the woman hollows, more and more like a dead one. Worms in the glottal stoops, she hates the thought of a baby. Stealer of cells, stealer of beauty, she would rather be dead than fat. Dead and perfect like Nefertiti. Hearing the fierce mask magnify the silver limbo of each eye, where the child can never swim, where there's only him and him. Again, oh, here's the, okay. Okay, here's the, what's called again. These pigs who call themselves smart and talk about Harvard act worse than animals. This is what I read before. Why is Einstein there? Please behave like the evolved Homo sapien you are. And kindly refrain from licking. What if you didn't have to worry about Horror Island? What if you didn't have to worry about Horror Island? Photos. The unexpected visit. She's talking about the island, y'all. Epstein Island. Another, oh my God. Y'all, I'm not even a mother. Not gonna lie. Like, thank you, Hanza. Like, I'm not even a mother, but these ultrasounds are really getting to me. Like, these ultrasounds are really, really getting to me. And the worst part is they don't even look like they're magazine clippings. Like, they don't even look like magazine clippings. They look like real ultrasounds. I don't even have a child, and this is like, it's actually disturbing. It's actually disturbing me. Like, I don't even know what to say, y'all. Yes, there are multiple ultrasounds in the e-files. There are multiple ultrasounds in the e-files. This isn't the first ones that I found. And then she says, a lot of cold showers, blood on their hands, no doctor, talk to no doctor, damage, dead. If you don't know, you can't help. And that's what she says. I think I'm going to break. Why would they allow Mr. Leonis's wait this long? Why would he bring a friend and make a video? Oh my God, so they recorded her, y'all. They recorded her. It's already deciphered. So this is what she's writing here, right? So it's already deciphered. So this, why would he bring a friend and make a video? I'm so broken and the procedure was so painful and blood all over the sheets. So she's talking about an abortion? What procedure is she talking about? I can't play this game anymore. I have to ask Jelaine for help. If anyone can make it stop, it would be her. She was so scared because I got so sick and was burning up with a fever. She put me in a freezing cold shower. I can't do this. Mr. Rails and Mr. Ain clipping blood on their hands, but so does Jeffrey and Mr. Jacobson, Mr. Conway, Mr. Radenberg, and Bill, all of them who don't care if this happens. What is this? Is this supposedly the blood on the bed? Perfectly functional, even if they aren't. That's good performance. The solution is death. Y'all, this is a child talking about death. What is this? Why does she have this? What is that? Do y'all see that? Hold on. Do y'all see this? Why does she cover up their face like that? What is this? She did mention somebody who had an Arabic sounding name in the journal. So maybe one of the people involved might be somebody from a Gulf country. Because the attire that they're wearing seems like very Gulf-like attire, right? So, Mr. Islam, exactly. She just says Mr. Islam. Now, I don't know if his name is actually Mr. Islam, or I don't know if she's just simply saying Mr. Islam because she thinks he's Muslim, because, you know what I mean? I don't know, but she says Mr. Islam is one of the people who does that to her. Right? So, perfectly functional, even if they aren't. That's a good performance. Looking for help. The solution is death. Play games with the whole world. Emergency in a spontaneous outpouring of grief. The art of performance, the making of a more powerful family. Control, power, and young kids. Until she cried, one little child. And I am the arrow that what does it say? Hold on. And I am the arrow, the dew that flies, self-unaliving, at one with the drive into the red, I, the cauldron of morning, from Ariel by Sylvia Plath, a deep, deep sleep, loneliness until she cried, one little child. This whole thing just coming from a child is disturbing. Apparently she was like 16, 17 when she was writing these. Right? It's just very disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. Another ultrasound. It's another ultrasound, y'all. The game stopped, but not in a way I thought. I did not have to go with anyone except Jeffrey, and now he and Jelaine are fighting because I am now over 20 weeks with a baby we are certain is his. Oh my God. So he impregnated her again. He impregnated her again. This time it's Epstein. I did not have to go with anyone except Jeffrey, and now he and Ghislaine are fighting because I am now over 20 weeks with a baby we are certain is his, and I had to go to the Bahamas like this. And for some reason, no plan has been made because he does not want a procedure and she does. And I'm certain this is time critical, but they won't stop fighting. I do not want to be tied to Jeffrey for the rest of my life. Playing the piano well is not a good reason to think someone has good genes or should have a baby. What about Ghislaine? I'm too young and he is too old. Why is no one doing anything? I don't understand. I don't want this. I don't want another painful procedure, but I do not want this. That company does not protect kids. They use it to find us, and they're everywhere. I cannot escape. She's talking about, whoa, hold on. Get more of what you want when you want it with America Online, easy to install and even easier to get started. Stay connected to friends and family with convenient, easy to use email, buddy list, and AOL, instant messenger features. Parental controls help us. She's saying that they use AOL to find the kids? What did she say? She said, that company does not protect kids. They use it to find us. And they're everywhere. Excuse me? And then fatal attraction to just little you, genes. You do not have a choice in his little plan. Oh my God. Y'all see that? Look at that. Look at that. You do not have a choice in his little plan. I'm still trying to figure out what his plan was. Right? I'm still trying to figure out what his plan was. Why was he... So we know he was working for somebody, right? Because his brother kept receiving comments about the boss, right? So this boss most likely had Epstein basically get information on all these rich people from around the world, okay? That was the whole purpose of it. And then at the same time, Epstein was working on this designer baby project with his eugenicist doctors. And they were trying to birth babies, have a breeding farm, right? But what was the end goal is the problem. That's the only question I have. What is the end goal? Because they're talking about a little plan. So the people who want the reference, by the way, this is the reference. This is the reference for the journal. And then if you want the reference for the... Hold on. This is the reference for the journal, like the deciphered journal. It's the same journal, but this is the deciphered one. So if you get both of them, you get the journal and the deciphered one as well. I'm still trying to figure out what his plan was. Like what was the end goal? I'm reading a journal that was done by one of the victims. Hold on. Stay alert school safety program. That's what okay, hold on. Stay alert school safety program. Stay Alert School Safety Program is a 24/7 bilingual confidential reporting system designed to enhance campus safety by allowing students, staff, and parents to report concerns like bullying, weapons, and drugs. It provides proactive, anonymous, or identified channel for sharing information to prevent violence. So this is the program that she said was being used to find them. But how are they using this to find children? Unless they were finding children from the ones who reported, because you report anonymously. So were they using the people who got reported, or were they using the people who did the reporting? I don't know. But she's saying, I'm going to save this. I can do a deep dive on it. She's saying here that company doesn't protect kids. They use it to find us. That's what she's saying. Wait, hold on. 1 second. Hold on. Is that real? Because I wrote in the chat, I want to fact, did Ghislaine Maxwell's sister Isabel create Amber Alert? The Maxwell sister owns or controls the company responsible for issuing Amber Alerts to claim widely shared information over the last few years, and now circulating again. There's disturbing link and close look. Okay, the allegation is false. Okay, because that would have been too convenient. I'm not gonna lie. Ghislaine Maxwell's sister Isabel Maxwell previously served as President Emeritus ComTouch, an Israel-based email security firm founded by former Israeli soldiers. Ugh. ComTouch. The company later rebranded as Siren and ceased operations in February. Let's see if ComTouch or Siren are in the Epstein files, though. Yes. Ha! Ha ha! Huh. It is in the Epstein files. Of course, Isabel Maxwell is also involved with Epstein. Of course, she's also involved with Epstein. Did he invest in ComTouch? Because I saw yesterday that Epstein invested in the IDF, by the way. Allegedly. Interesting. Anyway, let's continue though with this. But I do want to see into the Stay Alert program, if it has any links to anybody who is associated with Epstein, because I want to know why it's claiming that it's there to protect children, but then at the same time, it's according to her, the victim, it's being used to track the children. Yeah. So, dare to search for meaning. I understand how they feel, what they're going through, because I've gone through it too. The anti-war plane. What is this? What is that? Is that... It just has footprints in the snow, or is that footprints in blood? Look like footprints in something. A beach, yeah. Beach, but they're footprints. Without Martin Luther King, 2003 would look a lot like 1963. That was random. I'll fight to the end. I want to make people's lives better and change the world. Oh my God. And then 3 of the photos here are redacted, by the way. I don't know what these photos are. Please continue liking the live and sharing the live, by the way. Continue liking live, reposting it, protecting it. I'd much appreciate liking live, supporting it just in general, whether it is through liking, sharing, gifting, following the account. You could also subscribe. You could also pay, links are in the bio, by the way. So yeah, just wanted to say we don't do free labor, especially not during Black History Month. So appreciate y'all. What does this say? Oh my God, to our dear granddaughter on our graduation day. Oh my God. And then it says here, redacted. For our graduation, I wanted to give you something I was absolutely sure you didn't have. Oh my God. Lastly, glued 2 photos. Oh, the redacted photos are 2 photos of girls she was there with. So photos of victims. The white female on the left side of the page. Redacted says they talked about ballet because redacted danced on points, ballet shoes, and so did this girl. She says sometimes they called her by 2 names. She thinks it was redacted and redacted, but is not absolutely certain. But she was sometimes just called redacted or redacted, but redacted is not sure how it was spelled. The girl on the right side of the page, redacted says, was insanely beautiful and exotic looking. Her name sounded foreign, and redacted said it was a peculiar name. She would not even guess how to spell it. She did not believe this girl was foreign because she spoke like an average American girl. So one thing I want to understand. Immigrants are bad immigrants aren't bad as long as you can traffic them. Is that what I get? Is that what I get from this whole trafficking system? Because they have a lot of immigrants in these files. So immigrants aren't bad as long as we can traffic them and exploit them. That's what I'm getting. Right? Which to me is disturbing. To me, it's disturbing. Hold on. And even now, the kids that are missing, by the way, the kids that are missing right now, where did they go? The kids that were missing during the family separation policy, where did those kids go? Where did those kids go? Did they also end up within this whole trafficking scheme? A scheme? Yeah. So that's the end of the journal, by the way. That's the last thing that she wrote. Graduation. Apparently from her grandparents. Disturbing shit, man. Disturbing shit. This is also something I really found that's so disturbing between Steve Bannon and somebody who's redacted. So it says here, need the list from the attorney today. Let me know how Oliver goes. Then he says, thanks, appreciated. As numbers go, I guess my 38 is still worse than your 1.7. Then he says, we need to work around your 38. First, we need to push back on the lies, then crush the P3DO trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as philanthropist. So basically, Steve Bannon is trying to fix the image of this person who's messaging with him, okay? So he tells him, we need to crush the P3DO trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. And then that person says, in any bar where drinking age is 18, I guess that 10% of patrons are under 18. They sneak in, they have fake ID, their friends bring them in, and that is with guards at the door. The owner gets a fine. Every bar in Florida, there is no intercourse. The reports that said they lied when asked their ages undercuts the argument that I sought young girls. Think of the bar. Who did they lie to, says Steve Bannon. They told the police that they were told by the friend of theirs that brought them, if asked, make sure you say you're 18. Exactly the opposite of Sting results, where guys are looking for underage girls. They are always want under and are explicit, but I get it. And each girl, I knew why she was coming to the house massage with extra hardly coercion. Reminder, I'm not delusional, no ego, not my skill set. Kathy Doc, I think this is Epstein, because he writes as horrifically as Epstein does. I'm not sure. But he's writing to Epstein, isn't he? Because this guy writes horrifically just like Epstein. And he's basically telling him, yeah, well, I couldn't have been at fault because these girls lied and said that they were 18 and I couldn't have known. That's what he's basically saying, right? They lied. They said that they were 18. I couldn't have known. Just like a bar, when people say that they're 18 and get in, or they're over age and they get in, that's not the bar's fault. So technically, it's not my fault. That's what he is saying. Okay? Then Steve Bannon tells him, Kirschner blows this case out of the water. Why have you never had him come forward now that he's retired? Then he says face to face, thank you very much for your time and your guys. I'm happy to pick up any cost from today, pay your guys, etc. Yes, Dan will get to you. Great session. Guys are blown away, mesmerized because they have been sold you are a quote unquote monster. If Clayman wanted to make you look bad, she failed miserably. Good for you, very. Seriously? Yep. Karina said she would vote for you breakfast. There's a new mathematician coming from Argentina at 12 if you like. Oh my God. Steve Bannon says, 7 a.m. breakfast? Can you do 8? Yes. Okay. I'm thinking I let the Miami Herald writer do a live interview, no editing, or an active contribution coupled with this is definitely Epstein. But the question is, why would they redact Epstein? Because he's writing horrifically. Coupled with setting the facts straight, discussed later, something there. Or let the victims interview me and I them. Then he says, wow, are you guys at the front door? Yes, coming up. What's your skid? Free till 6. Should be there at 4. Perfect. All right, I guess the front door again. Then he sends him an article that says, House Intelligence Committee probing Melania friend who made 16M off inauguration. Reportedly cooperating. Yikes. Yeah, this is definitely Epstein that Bannon is talking to. Because then he talks to him again. And he says, similar as in nobody knows nothing. Case weak, not well done, can keep them for years. That's what Epstein is telling Steve Bannon. Oh, on that, yes. On another note, if you like, you can go to Yemen and meet with heads. You have an invitation. Why Yemen? I'm so confused. How does this person have so much power? Then he tells him, would love it. Then he says, have fun. You should, if you decide, of course, coordinate with Pompeo, but you'll have access unlike others. Of course, I'm sure it'll be a resounding no. I'm only F and B. KSA wants everybody to stay away. Closer inspection only leads to more doubts, head scratching. Have you followed Nick? KSA, by the way, is Saudi Arabia. I was thinking it might be Epstein, but this might be Trump because, like, I don't know, the writing, the way that he was writing in that previous message seemed like Epstein. This text thread is from 2019, April 30, 2019. And that was also the same year that Epstein was going through a trial. That's why I wonder it might be him. This is an iMessage, not an email, by the way. Yeah, but when did he die in 2019? He didn't die in hold on. August. He died in August. This is in April. This is before August. He died in August. Yeah. This is in April. So this is not an email. This is an iMessage that I'm reading, by the way. So he says, have you followed Nick Bostrom, Oxford professor, Bill Gates guy? Then he says, Chicken Little. Steve Bannon says, I'm watching our second hour now. Guys were blown away and I didn't think it was as strong at the time, but I was wrong. Need a huge part on threat of AI versus reality threat of climate change. Then he says, I was a little all over the place. I go back to the Industrial Revolution, same argument. The computer doesn't have soul, so no worry. Did Trump know about the Industrial Revolution? Oh, God, I don't know. Steve Bannon says, I thought so, but most of my team just saw it on film. We're not there and loved it, wanted more. Then this person says, the Christians I met with feel the media portraying me as beyond redemption is deeply troubling and offensive. Steve Bannon says, yes, of course, but we must counter rapists who traffics female children to be raped. That's Epstein. He's talking about Epstein. He's talking about Epstein. Because he's talking about a person who traffics children. It's Epstein. He says, yes, of course, but why is Epstein redacted? Unless they want to protect Steve Bannon. Yes, of course, but we must counter rapists who traffics in female children to be raped by world's most powerful, richest men. That can't be redeemed. That's why we let them blow up the argument while showing the 12 you redeemed. Can't redeem unredeemable. You are a lot of things which will show, but you are not that. Did he get the film shot? 7. Just landed. Money, unfortunately, probably not going to be allowed in the film. I'll show you the private photos. Bad. I watched the interview. Well done again. Thanks. Here's what I think will work legally. I pay direct costs of filming. As Darren is the contractor for legal service prep, it gets paid by Darren. He has final control as it is his work project. I have no interest whatsoever in making money here. 0. You deserve what it brings as it is our cost, no return on it. Are you far enough along on your assignment? Could we film this weekend? K. I've listed out the scientists, sending them to Darren, but there are no scientists on the island. Let's talk later tonight. The team actually thought second was even more compelling than first, and they loved the first standby. Don't need scientists now, need you walking through the entire vertical, get them in weeks, months to come. This might be a co-conspirator, actually. When they talk about scientists, are they talking about the scientists that were doing the designer babies? Maybe? I don't know. One thing that I did want to show y'all, by the way, is an email that I found from Gates. Hold on. Well, not Bill Gates, but it was another email that was found. This one. Hold on. So this is between Redacted and Jeffrey Epstein, okay? So he forwards him an email. Then he tells him, cool, I'm excited. Also, I've been thinking a lot about that question that you asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? And I have an answer, comment regarding that for you. When can I call you today to discuss this? Excuse me? Why was Epstein asking Bill Gates, how do we get rid of poor people? Which is just genocide. I found this. Yes, Bill Gates. I found this and I really needed to share it with you guys. And this is what makes Bill Gates incredibly, incredibly dangerous. Because this guy is actively working in a lot of countries in the global south. Right? Bill Gates is active in a lot of foundations and a lot of charity work. So why is Epstein asking specifically Bill Gates, how can you get rid of the poor? Right? I don't think it's COVID, by the way. I don't think it's COVID. But the fact that they're actively saying this and discussing it is crazy. So then he says, when can I call today to discuss this? And then Jeff answers, anytime, you can always call home or make sure you have my cell, redacted Jeffrey. Then he says, I'll call you if I have a free today or after basketball around 4. Then Jeffrey says, okay. Also, he's coming back in March for a day with me so you can ask him more questions. Then he says, cool, sounds good. I'll take that. Who is coming back in March for a day? Bill Gates? Is that what they're talking about? Is Bill Gates going to come back with him for March? This is in 2011. They're talking about 2011. In 2011, they're talking about Bill Gates being asked how to unalive poor people as a whole. Right? Here's another person, also redacted, telling Jeffrey Epstein, so I'll be in Vienna from 12th to 17th. I hope I don't miss out on your teaching. Meeting the new guy tonight and another new one tomorrow. I'm undecided how far I'll go with them. Any suggestions? Maybe Sasha Grey guy on Friday. It's a bit annoying that Christmas falls on the weekend, and I think I should get a bigger butt plug. I don't know who he's talking to. He's talking to like a trafficked person. I don't know. Then he says, yes, get a bigger plug and get a dildo you can insert. See you on the 9th. Telling you, these files are sick. Sick. But this one was sicker. Of him practically saying he wants to G-side poor people. And this one was also interesting. Sarah K. to Rich Barnett. Hi, Rich. Jeffrey's asking if he can FedEx the painting he had made of the massacre of the innocents to the ranch. It's a large 9x9 canvas that we had rolled out for him to see in the entryway where they are killing babies. He wants to use it on the ranch and is hoping you could FedEx it to arrive by Wednesday. Thanks, Sarah. I'm sorry. What is happening? Yes, I read that right. What is happening? How are you writing this so casually? How are you writing massacre of the innocents to the ranch and then to see in the entryway where they are unaliving babies? Like, the only thing that makes sense to me, right? The only thing that makes sense to me is that they have become so desensitized. This is the EFTA number, by the way. The only thing that makes sense to me is that they've become so desensitized that they're just talking about it normally. This is the file number, by the way, right here. If y'all want to see it. They've just become so desensitized, they're just talking about unalive babies. Hi, Goldie. Right? Crazy. Saving that one too? Okay, already saved. Here. Somebody, this person called Ismo is sending Jeffrey an email telling him, do you remember the name of the gynecologist that you used to send your victims to? And then Jeffrey responds saying, New York? So he knew. Everybody just knew that they were victims. He referred to them as victims. Right? Is that... Hold on. Hold on. Fully aware of his evil nature, exactly. Calling it victims. Who is Ismo in Epstein files? That's his brother. That is his brother, Mark Epstein. I don't know why they bothered. Redacting that, but then leaving his email so that we can find out who his email, like what his email is. Right? That's literally his brother. Yeah, Puggy is his nickname, but Ismo is his email. So Puggy is his nickname. But this particular email is his, ismo@mindspring.com. Right? His brother is asking him, where is the gynecologist that you send all your victims to? So his brother, like, everybody was just fully aware of how evil this man is. My question is, why did so many people let it happen for so long? That's the question that I have. Why did people let it happen for so long if they knew how evil this guy was? And, if they knew who this guy was. So the crown princess is somebody I want to look through. Luc Brunel is somebody I'm going to dedicate a live to as well, by the way. Yesterday, I spoke of Daniel Sayed, whom Jean-Luc Brunel describes as a scout or recruiter of girls and or women for J. Epstein. Attached to this incoming email from Brunel is the contact information he has for Sayed. Best regards, Stan. FYI. So they're finding a new victim, by the way. A person that can help them, can help them get more victims, basically. Where did this? Also, Motola is the former CEO of Sony Music, is also in these Epstein files. I will search The Apprentice. Tommy Motola, yes. He's the former CEO. Whoa, is this Tommy Motola who's married to Mariah Carey? He was! Oh my god. He was married to her. So he was in the Epstein files. He's the former head of Sony, right? Sony Music. So he was in the Epstein files. Hold on, where is it? Where's the email? We had it right here. 1 second. Where did the email go? Oh, here it is. So he sends Jeffrey an email telling him 5th only. And then he says to Jeffrey, do you need to build a new house on the island as well? And then Jeffrey says, yes, houses, plural. And an extra massage room for you, bulletproof glass. Then he sends him the laughing emoji, thumbs up. This is the former owner of Sony Music, yes, former head. Mariah was 23. That can be. He's 77 now. He was much older, but he couldn't have been 70 then when she was marrying him. But yeah, he's in the Epstein files as well. Apparently multiple times. Allegedly multiple times. And then we also found this right here. It says here, on July the 6th, 2020, at 5:3 Eastern Time, date of birth redacted, home telephone redacted, residential address redacted, United Kingdom. Says here, transaction submitted text. In September 2009, I was living in redacted. I went to the shop down the road. It was a Sunday and very quiet. I turned off from my street on the main road and found myself walking behind a woman and a little girl. There was also a middle-aged man with them, but he was walking much further ahead. When I got up close to the little girl, I noticed she looked like Madeleine McCann. The woman was trying to hurry her along and seemed agitated that I was there. The little girl held her hand over her right eye the whole time we were walking along. She kept on turning around to look at me. I turned off after a while. I reported to the website as a sighting as I found it was odd. Didn't think about it for years till I saw the FB post about Ghislaine Maxwell and the theory of her taking Madeleine McCann. The woman I saw, hold on, what is this? EFTAO1613542. The woman I saw looked just like Ghislaine Maxwell. I reported the sighting to the police, but thought I would report it to you as well. Violation question. What was the exact crime about that occurred? Suspected sighting of abducted child. When did the crime happen? End of September, beginning of October 2009. Have y'all ever seen the sketching of the woman who was suspected of last being seen with Madeleine McCann? Hold on. The sketching was released by the police report, by the way. This is the woman. Tell me this doesn't look like Ghislaine Maxwell. So it was multiple people, right, who were seen with her, apparently. These are the people, the suspects. But one of those suspects looks very, very uncomfortably close to Ghislaine Maxwell. Right? So, I'm not surprised. Allegedly, by the way, all of this is alleged. I'm perfectly fine. I'm happy with myself. I want to live. Just saying, 1.3K people here. So I'm not surprised that this person is then reporting that to the FBI, that they felt like they saw Madeleine McCann a couple of years ago with a person who looked like Ghislaine Maxwell, right? These files are sick, I'm not gonna lie. This is also something that's very interesting, right? It's from that same person, Syed guy, right? He says, hello, John Luke. John Luke, by the way, is a person who, yes, Madeleine McCann is the girl that they never found, the one who went missing when she was in Portugal. So basically, Madeleine McCann is a little girl who her family went to Portugal with her siblings, and they went out, and they said when they came back, they found all the siblings except for her, the little girl. And yes, one of the sketches of the victims or the suspects who were last seen with the victim looks awfully like Ghislaine Maxwell. Right? Awfully like Ghislaine Maxwell. Was Ghislaine Yeah. Really creepy. So this guy, Jean-Luc, is another person who was a massive recruiter in the modeling industry. And he is mentioned multiple times in the Epstein files because he has trafficked girls, basically. Right? He has trafficked girls. And here he is talking with Syed, who is another person, by the way, who Epstein was mentioning that they could help as well with the recruiting of girls. And so that Syed person, who's a Swedish citizen, is saying, "Hello, Jean-Luc. As we agreed, please, if you can send me a written agreement between each other, and my official name on my passport is redacted," right? So then this person says, "Dominique, he is the bank account from Amir Syed. We will pay him 3,000 euros every month for scouting for a 6-month period. On all models we get from him, we will pay him 5% commission on their earnings. I'm preparing a written agreement. You can transfer the money now. Thank you." Right? Then Daniel Syed says, "Thank you, Jean-Luc. I see that you keep your word, just like my friend Rashid spoke highly about you. My warmest regards. So now we are in business. I will not disappoint you. You have my Berber Jew's word." What? That's an odd thing to say. And then he just adds a Wikipedia page for like Amazigh Jews. This is a weird thing to say. Berber is like a derogatory word for Amazigh people, right? So Amazigh people, who are the indigenous peoples in North Africa, they refer to themselves as Amazigh, but not Berber. Berber is like a term that was kind of used on them as well in a more derogatory manner, right? So I don't know why he would call himself that, because Amazigh call themselves Amazigh, right? So it's a bit weird to me that this person, Daniel Amir Syed, is most likely a Amazigh, but he's degrading himself. Yeah. Odd. Just very, very odd. This is from 2009, by the way. No, it's not slang. It's a derogatory terminology. Amazigh is also not a modern trend, by the way. They've always called themselves Amazigh. And Rashid, there was a person called Rashid as well in the Epstein files, right? And then here, Epstein is following his call, and he says, "I have made a copy of her passport and visas." So they were making fake passports, by the way, for these girls that they were recruiting. Right? So they were recruiting girls, and then they would make fake passports for them. Right? Crazy. I also did find a victim testimony, by the way. EFTA 0271538. Found a victim testimony as well, by the way. Says here, Jane Doe 3 and Jane Doe 4 corrected motion pursuant to Rule 21 for joinder in action. Come now, Jane Doe 3 and Jane Doe 4, also referred as the new victim by and through undersigned counsel, to file this motion pursuant to Federal Rule Civil Procedure 21 to join this action on the condition that they are not to litigate any issues already litigated by Jane Doe number 1 and Jane Doe number 2, also referred to as the current victims. The new victims have suffered the same violations of their rights under the Crime Victims' Rights Act as the current victims. Accordingly, they desire to join in this action to vindicate their rights as well. Because the new victims will not relitigate any issues previously litigated by the current victims, and because they are represented by the same legal counsel as the current victims, the government will not prejudiced if the court prejudged. Oh my god, my English, y'all. If the court grants the motion, the court may at any time add new parties to action. Accordingly, the court should grant the motion. As the court is aware, more than 6 years ago, Jane Doe 1 filed the present action against the government alleging a violation of her rights under CVRA 18 USC 3711D1. She alleged that Jeffrey Epstein had sexually abused her and that the United States had entered into a secret non-prosecution agreement regarding those crimes in violation of her rights. At the first court hearing on the case, the court allowed Jane Doe number 2 to also join the action. Both Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 specifically argued that the government had failed to protect their CVRA rights, inter alia, to confer to reasonable notice and to be treated with fairness. In response, the government argued that CVRA rights did not apply to Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 because no federal charges have been filed against Jeffrey Epstein. The court has firmly rejected the United States position. In detailed ruling, the court concluded that CVRA extended rights to Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2, even though federal charges were never filed, DE 189. The court explained that because the NPA barred prosecution of crimes committed against them by Epstein, they had standing to assert violations of the CVRA rights. The court deferred ruling on whether the two victims would be entitled to relief pending development of a fuller evidentiary record. Two other victims who are in many respects similarly situated to the current victims now wish to join this action. The new victims joining at this stage will not cause any delay, and their joinder in this case is the most expeditious manner in which to pursue their rights, because the background regarding their abuse is relevant to the court's assessment of whether to allow them to join. Their circumstances are recounted here briefly. Jane Doe 3 circumstances. As was Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2, Jane Doe 3 was repeatedly SA'd by Epstein. The government then concealed from Jane Doe 3 the existence of its NPA from Jane Doe 3 in violation of her rights under the CVRA. If allowed to join this action, Jane Doe 3 would prove the following. In 1999, Jane Doe 3 was approached by Ghislaine Maxwell, one of the main women whom Epstein used to procure underage girls for sexual activities and a primary co-conspirator in his sexual abuse and sex trafficking scheme. In fact, it became known to the government that Maxwell herself regularly participated in Epstein's sexual exploitation of minors, including Jane Doe 3. Maxwell, by the way, trigger warning. I just wanted to say, trigger warning, hella trigger warning, because this is very, very disturbing shit. So if child essay. Maxwell persuaded Jane Doe 3, who was then 15 years old, to come to Epstein's mansion in a fashion very similar to the manner in which Epstein and his co-conspirators coerced dozens of other children, including Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2. When Jane Doe 3 began giving Epstein a quote-unquote massage, Epstein and Maxwell turned it into a sexual... Oh my God, both of them were there. Epstein and Maxwell turned it into a sexual encounter as they had done with many other victims. Epstein then became enamored with Jane Doe 3, and with the assistance of Maxwell, converted her into what is commonly referred to as a sex slave. Epstein kept Jane Doe 3 as his sex slave from 1999 through 2002, when she managed to escape to a foreign country and hide out from Epstein and his co-conspirators for years. From 1999 through 2002, Epstein frequently sexually abused Jane Doe 3, not only in West Palm Beach, but also in New York, New Mexico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and international airspace on his Epstein's private planes, and elsewhere. Epstein also sexually trafficked the then minor Jane Doe, making her available for sex to politically connected and financially powerful people. Epstein's purposes in lending Jane Doe, along with other young girls, to such powerful people were to ingratiate himself with them for business, personal, political, and financial gain, as well as to obtain potential blackmail information. See, I thought it was Virginia, but was she approached in 1999? I thought she was approached earlier. Because she was approached at Mar-a-Lago. And she wasn't only there up until 2002. She was there for longer. So this is another person. 97, exactly. So I think Jelaine approached Virginia in Mar-a-Lago in 97. But this one was approached in 1999. Right? So this isn't Virginia. This is somebody else. So he says here, business, personal, political, and financial gain, as well as to obtain potential blackmail information. One such powerful individual that Epstein forced then minor Jane Doe number 3 to have sexual relations with was former Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, a close friend of Epstein and a well-known criminal defense attorney. Epstein required Jane Doe number 3 to have sexual relations with Dershowitz on numerous occasions while she was a minor, not only in Florida, but also on private planes in New York, New Mexico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Fun fact, not so fun too, Dershowitz was the teacher of Jared Kushner. So Dershowitz was Jared Kushner's teacher. Just wanted to say that. Very, very connected at Harvard. Jared and his brother, he has a brother, was named Josh or something like that. Yeah. Both of them were Dershowitz students. Crazy connected. In addition to being a participant in the abuse of Jane Doe 3 and other minors, Dershowitz was an eyewitness to the sexual abuse of many other minors by Epstein and several of Epstein's co-conspirators. Why did they like watching stuff? I'm confused. Dershowitz would later play a significant role in negotiating the NPA on Epstein's behalf. Indeed, Dershowitz helped negotiate an agreement that provided immunity from federal prosecution in the Southern District of Florida, not only to Epstein, but also to any potential co-conspirator of Epstein, NPA at 5. Thus, Dershowitz helped negotiate an agreement with a provision that provided protection for himself against criminal prosecution in Florida for sexually abusing Jane Doe number 3. Because this broad immunity would have been controversial if disclosed, Dershowitz, along with other members of Epstein's defense team and the government, tried to keep the immunity provisions secret from all of Epstein's victims and the general public, even though such secrecy violated the Crimes Victims' Rights Act. Ghislaine Maxwell was another person in Epstein's inner circle and co-conspirator in Epstein's sexual abuse. She was someone who consequently also appreciated the immunity granted by the NPA for the crime she committed in Florida. In addition to participating in the sexual abuse of Jane Doe No. 3 and others, Maxwell also took numerous sexually explicit pictures of underage girls involved in sexual activities, including Jane Doe No. 3. She shared these photographs, which constituted child pornography under applicable federal law, with Epstein. The government is apparently aware of, and in certain instances possesses, some of these photographs. Perhaps even more important to her role in Epstein's SA ring, Maxwell had direct connections to other powerful individuals with whom she could connect Epstein. For instance, one such powerful individual Epstein forced Jane Doe 3 to have sexual relations with was a member of the British royal family, Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Jane Doe No. 3 was forced to have sexual relations with this prince when she was a minor in 3 separate geographic locations: in London, in New York, and on Epstein's private island in U.S. Virgin Islands, in an orgy with numerous other underage girls. Epstein instructed Jane Doe No. 3 that she was to give the prince whatever he demanded and required Jane Doe III to report back to him on the details of the sexual abuse. Maxwell facilitated Prince Andrew's acts of sexual abuse by acting as a madam for Epstein, thereby assisting in internationally trafficking Jane Doe 3 and numerous other young girls for sexual purposes. Another person in Epstein's inner circle of friends who becomes apparent with almost no investigative effort is Jean-Luc Brunel. Epstein sexually trafficked Jane Doe. Thank you very much for the gifts, Rainey. I appreciate you. Every gift, by the way, all the gifts that you've been sending, I appreciate every single one of y'all, by the way, for all the gifts. So thank you. Another person in Epstein's inner circle of the friends who became apparent with almost no investigative effort is Jean-Luc. Thank you, Brittany, for the roses. Thank you, Neutral, for the heart. Is Jean-Luc. Epstein sexually trafficked Jane Doe 3 to Jean-Luc Brunel many times. Brunel was another of Epstein's closest friends and a regular traveling companion who had many contacts with young girls throughout the world. Brunel has been a model scout for various model agencies for many years and apparently was able to get U.S. passports for young girls to work as models. He would bring young girls ranging to ages as young as 12. Oh my God. 12. Thank you guys for all the gifts. 12 years old. Brunel would, hold on. Young as 12 to the United States for sexual purposes and farm them out to his friends, especially Epstein. Brunel would offer the girls modeling jobs. Many of the girls came from poor countries or impoverished backgrounds, and he lured them in with a promise of making good money. Epstein forced Jane Doe 3 to observe him, Brunel, and Maxwell engage in illegal sexual acts with dozens of underage girls. Epstein also forced Jane Doe 3 to have sex with Brunel on numerous occasions at places including Epstein's mansion in West Palm Beach, Little St. James Island, the U.S. Virgin Islands, many including orgies that were comprised of other underage girls. New York City, New Mexico, Paris, Sicily, France, and California. Epstein also trafficked Jane Doe 3 for sexual purposes to many other powerful men, including numerous prominent American politicians, powerful business executives, foreign presidents, a well-known prime minister, and other world leaders. Epstein required Jane Doe 3 to describe the events that she had had with these men so that he could potentially blackmail them. The government was well aware of Jane Doe 3 when it was negotiating the NPA, as it listed her as a victim in the attachment to the NPA. Moreover, even a rudimentary investigation of Jane Doe 3's relationship to Epstein would have revealed the fact that she had been trafficked throughout the United States and internationally for sexual purposes. Nonetheless, the government secretly negotiated a non-prosecution agreement with Epstein, precluding any federal prosecution in the Southern District of Florida of Epstein and his co-conspirators. As with Jane Doe 1 and 2, the government concealed the non-prosecution agreement for Jane Doe 3, all in violation of her rights under the CVRA to avoid Jane Doe 3 from raising powerful objections to the NPA that would have shed tremendous public light on Epstein and other powerful individuals, and that would likely have prevented it from being concluded in the secretive manner in which it was. Thank you for the gifts. Jane Doe 4's circumstances. If permitted to join this action, Jane Doe 4 would allege and could prove at trial that she has CVRA claims similar to those advanced by Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 based on the following. As with other Jane Does, Jane Doe 4 was repeatedly sexually abused by Epstein in or around the summer of 2002. Jane Doe, an economically poor and vulnerable 16-year-old child, was told by another one of Epstein's underage minor sex abuse victims that she could make $300 in cash by giving an old man a massage on Palm Beach. An acquaintance of Jane Doe 4, also a minor sexual abuse victim of Epstein, telephoned Epstein and scheduled Jane Doe 4 to go to Epstein's house to give him a massage. During that call, Epstein himself got on the phone, a means of interstate communication, with Jane Doe 4, asking her personally to come to his mansion in Palm Beach. Jane Doe 4 then went to Epstein's mansion and was escorted upstairs to Epstein's large bathroom by one of Epstein's assistants. Shortly thereafter, Jeffrey Epstein emerged and lay face down on the table and told Jane Doe 4 to start massaging him. Epstein asked Jane Doe 3 her age, and she told him she had recently turned 16. Epstein subsequently committed illegal sexual acts against Jane Doe 4 on many occasions. Epstein used a means of interstate communication, i.e. a cell phone, to arrange for these sexual encounters. Epstein also frequently traveled in interstate commerce, i.e. on his personal jet, for purposes of illegally sexually abusing Jane Doe 4. The acts Epstein committed against Jane Doe 4 constituted numerous federal sex offenses, some of which do not carry a statute of limitations and thus are not time-barred. And these offenses were the kinds of offenses that the Federal Bureau of Investigation and U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida were pursuing in 2007. So far, as Jane Doe 4 is aware, the U.S. Attorney's Office made no serious effort to locate her. Why? Why? I'm confused. As I mentioned again, Epstein was the fall guy. He was the scapegoat. They literally scapegoated him and then got away with it. Right? Instead, after identifying approximately 40 separate underage sexually abused victims and apparently preparing a 53-page federal indictment with full awareness of the existence of many victims like Jane Doe 4, unidentified and not interviewed, and entered into a non-prosecution agreement barring prosecution of Epstein's federal crimes against these victims. Huh? So you mean to tell me they found 40 victims and they decided to sign a non-prosecution agreement or push for it to be signed? When I say scapegoat, by the way, I don't mean that he was innocent. Epstein is a disgusting pig who I hope is rotting in hell right now. But what I mean is he was the fall guy. All the other people around him who benefited off of his trafficking scheme got away with it. And he was the fall guy. And he knew he was the fall guy. I think that's why he wanted to speak in court. Because if you look at the Epstein files, there were files talking about him supposedly wanting to sing like a canary in court. Right? So that's why they wanted to get rid of him. So he was the fall guy. He most definitely, when I was saying scapegoat, by the way, I most definitely was not saying that he's innocent. I've been reading these files for the past week. I most definitely was not saying he was innocent. He was doing a lot of shit himself. What I meant by saying scapegoat was that he was the fall guy. Right? So they pursued a non-prosecution agreement barring prosecution of Epstein's federal crimes against these victims. This is contrary to the government's normal approach in prosecuting federal sex offenses. Well, it's contrary because in this case, the people who are involved are rich people. So of course they're going to continue protecting them, right? It also violated Jane Doe 4's rights under the CVRA, including the fact that she had a reasonable right to confer with the U.S. Attorney's Office before they entered into an agreement with a sex offender barring prosecution of him for the crimes he committed against her. Jane Doe 3 and Jane Doe 4 now both moved to join this action filed by Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 pursuant to Rule 21 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Rule 21 provides that on motion or on its own, the court may at any time on just terms add a party. Rule 21 grants the court broad discretion to permit a change in the parties at any stage of litigation. The new victims will establish at trial that the government violated their CVRA rights in the same way as it violated the rights of other victims. The new victims' participation in this case is important because it appears that the government intends to raise a factual defense that somehow it did keep Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 properly informed of what was happening in the criminal prosecution. Of course, if 4 victims all testify consistently that they were not properly informed by the government, as we believe they will, that provides a stronger case for a CVRA violation. In addition, Jane Doe 3 and Jane Doe 4's participation is relevant to a defense the court has allowed the government to raise. The court has previously ruled that the victim's request for rescission of the NPA implicates a fact-sensitive, equitable defense which must be considered in the historical, factual context, the entire interface between Epstein, the relevant prosecutorial authorities, and the federal offenses victims, including an assessment of the allegation of a deliberate conspiracy between Epstein and the federal prosecutors to keep the victims in the dark on the pendency of negotiations between Epstein and federal authorities until well after the fact, and presentation of the non-prosecution agreement to them as fait accompli. Yeah. Crazy. Right? I found this video as well, by the way, which some newly released footage. I wanted to play this to y'all.
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't even understand the question.
Are all people that were, at the time you engaged in sexual activity with them, were underage and were brought by other underage minor females? That's true?
Same objections incorporated. As well as the motion to strike.
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't even understand the question.
Isn't it true that you used underage minor females to bring other underage minor females to your house for sex?
Asked and answered. Way earlier on.
Oh, well, you didn't understand the question, so I'm going through
if you understand.
Not a problem.
But it is asked and answered.
As your firm, Mr. Edwards and Mr. Jaffe, has been described by the U.S. Attorney as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in South Florida's history by crafting malicious cases of a sexual nature against people like me and others in order to fleece, using bogus schemes, in the U.S. Attorney's words, investment schemes. Unfortunately, though, I'd like to answer every one of your questions if I'm able. My attorneys have advised me I must assert my 6th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 5th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. Therefore, at the moment, I cannot answer that question.
So that is an answer, by the way. That is an answer, by the way. He just answered it. He literally just answered it. He literally just answered it. I wanted to watch this video with y'all because it seemed like it's a new video. It was released just a couple yesterday. And I was about to watch it, but I wanted to save it so we can watch it together, right?
Was it the Epstein files in their... Finally, this was it. The Epstein files in their entirety.
We are producing more than 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, 180,000 images.
The fullest picture we have of the disgraced paedophile and sex trafficker.
By the way, one of the creepiest images that I found was this one. Speaking of images, this is one of the images that I found that was so creepy to me, by the way. Yeah. That looks like a child. That's a kid. It's a literal kid. But anyways.
2,000 videos, 180,000 images.
The fullest picture we have of the disgraced paedophile and sex trafficker.
That picture's up on the wall.
The dozens of victims and the scale of his high-profile network.
They've been trying to stop Andrew from being a distraction, and now this has happened.
3 images appearing to show him on all fours over a woman.
From former royals to celebrities to politicians, these files continue to cause aftershocks around the world.
None of us knew the depth and the darkness of that relationship.
The Prince of...
No, they did. They did. I don't know why they're lying. They did. I don't know why all these politicians are coming out saying none of us knew how the depth of this system. No, you knew. You knew. The people did not know, but you knew. And you hid it.
The darkness is gone.
It's potentially the biggest political scandal of this century.
We've gone through hundreds of thousands of files, emails, and photographs. So let's get into it. At the heart of this is the life and the crimes of one man. But this is a story about the survivors, the royals, the politics, and the famous faces. Most importantly, the survivors who have fought for years to bring these documents to life. These files aren't just about lurid photos or ill-advised friendships. They document in precise detail exactly what Epstein did. One document here shows a list of some of the witnesses. It looks dry and...
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. It's asking for the name of their high school. Every time when I see a document that in any way just emphasizes how young they are, it deeply disturbs me even more.
Methodical until you see the ages 17 years old for all these victims at high school. These were school children and they were abused hundreds of times. Other victims described being raped and beaten in graphic detail. Victims' journals are also included in the files. One victim took this pre-branded title, Flights of Fancy, and altered it. So it read Flights and Yachts of Horror. Some survivors spoke to Sky News after the files were published. For some, it brought back memories of what they went through. For others, fresh anger and not being protected.
One of the young girls came to the door and said, Jeffrey's ready for his massage. And argued with the girls for a little bit because I don't know how to do a massage. And they said, well, you have to, he requested you. So I went with the other girl who brought me to the island. I went into the room to do this massage, and the massage turned into sexual assault.
What we're seeing with the files is that there are extreme redactions and then extreme neglect.
This is one of the victims, by the way. Of course, she's an adult now, but she was a victim when she was a minor.
To redact. I mean, a 5-year-old could have done a better job redacting these files with color-coded crayons. It is an embarrassment that our Department of Justice put this out as their very best work. It is shocking the damage that this Department of Justice has done with the way that they have released survivors' personal information out there when they literally had one job, which was to redact survivors' names.
In a letter to judges overseeing the cases brought against Epstein and Maxwell, U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton wrote that the department had taken down nearly all materials identified by victims or their lawyers, along with a substantial number of documents identified independently by the government. For years, we have seen...
By the way, this is so normalized in Hollywood that a person, just preying on younger girls and younger victims in general, because boys are also victimized by this. This is so normalized in Hollywood that a person like Paul Walker is still glorified, even though he dated a 16-year-old girl when he was in his 30s before his death. Paul Walker, the guy that everybody romanticized, up until his death, he was dating a 16-year-old girl. And this guy was way into his 30s. Harvey Weinstein? Who is the guy who said we should be heroes? Damn, that one singer, the rock star? Who's that rock star? The guy who sang we should be heroes. Yes, Paul Walker dated a 16-year-old. David Bowie. David Bowie raped a 13-year-old girl. David Bowie raped a 13-year-old girl. Yeah, look into that. Look into David Bowie's history. She was like 13, 14. He played it off by saying she was his groupie. 13, 14-year-old girl, right? Who else? Celine Dion. Do y'all know that her husband, her dead husband, met her when she was 9 years old and he was 30 something? He was like 35. Celine Dion was only 9 years old. And he was in his 30s when he met her. Woody Allen fucking married his stepdaughter who he raised since she was a baby. Right? R. Kelly, P. Diddy, Elvis Presley, who married his wife when she was like 14 years old. So again, this type of shit is so normalized within Hollywood. Jay-Z, he met Beyonce when she was like 15, 16. And he was like in his late 20s or early 30s. Beyonce was only like 15. Same thing with R. Kelly and Aaliyah, the singer Aaliyah. Aaliyah was only like 15 years old when R. Kelly quote unquote married her. Yeah.
Epstein through the prism of his relationship with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And the disgraced former prince, along with other former royals, were a crucial part of this release too. The best known victim of Epstein was Virginia Giuffre, who died last year. And the files appear to support her version of events.
These are the puzzling pictures of the then Prince
Oh my
Andrew.
God.
3 images.
She literally looks unconscious. This picture. Ugh.
Appearing to show him on all fours over a woman who's lying on the floor.
Why are they calling her a woman? This is the issue that I have with these reporters. Like with these mainstream media reporters. They're calling the victims women. I never knew a minor was a woman. That kid, her body literally looks like a minor's body. Okay? She's not a woman. She's a minor. She's a child. She's a girl.
We don't know who she is or where and when the photos were taken. And Andrew has always strongly denied any wrongdoing. But once again, we're learning how close he was to Jeffrey Epstein. Exposing emails reveal more about their relationship and how Andrew continued contact after Epstein was a convicted sex offender. Inviting him into the inner sanctum of royal life. We could have dinner at Buckingham Palace and lots of privacy, Andrew writes. Epstein replies, BP, please. And here, Epstein offers Andrew dinner with a Russian woman. Andrew says, great, any other information you might know about her that might be useful to know? Like, what have you told her about me? And have you given her my email as well? From Epstein, she 26, Russian, clever, beautiful, trustworthy, and yes, she has your email. Andrew claimed he cut off all ties with Epstein at the end of 2010, but emails suggest the 2 men were still in touch. And far from their friendship ending, Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were being helped financially by Epstein.
And the files necessitated a response from Andrew's wider family.
They've been trying to stop Andrew from being a distraction, and now this has happened.
I think it's all really important always to remember the victims and who are the victims in all this.
Andrew's younger brother, Edward, the first to be forced to respond on an official trip after those Epstein files were released, the first member of the royal family to talk about it. In some ways, really sticking to the official line, because you might remember in a statement back in October, when Andrew was stripped of his titles and his home, we heard that the King and Queen's thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain.
This documentary is called Epstein Files Explain Survivors, Royals, Politics, and Famous Faces. I will be posting it to my Discord as well. As I just mentioned, over the weekend, I will be posting all of the files that I've been reading. I've downloaded them, including the documentaries that I have been showing, and the videos, the video clips, and all that stuff on in my Discord as well. So I'll create a special channel for the Epstein files and do that.
With the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. Now, while Andrew and Sarah Ferguson have continuously denied any wrongdoing, with Sarah also suggesting she was being blackmailed by Epstein, this latest release of files have again given us a bigger picture of the relationship between the Yorks and Epstein, and the fact it continued well after his conviction of those paedophile charges. One of the latest emails also shows that Sarah took her daughters Beatrice and Eugenie to Miami to see Epstein 5 days after he was released from jail. The first email comes from Leslie Groff, who is the assistant to Epstein, saying to him, regarding the flights for the Duchess and the girls from Heathrow to Miami and from New York to Heathrow, we were able to get the girls on economy round trip and the Duchess on business round trip. Do I have your permission to purchase these tickets? There's then an email from his assistant to Fergie's assistant, Amanda Lewis, which says, Amanda, can you please let me know where the Duchess will be staying while in Miami? Amanda then replies to Leslie, saying they'll be with Jeffrey at 1 o'clock for lunch. I hope this is okay. And then the final email is actually from Sarah Ferguson to Jeffrey Epstein, in which she says, it'll be myself, Beatrice and Eugenie. Are we having lunch? And Epstein replies, yes, vegetable lasagna. All of this extra information has just led to more demands for both Sarah and Andrew to open up more about what they knew, what they saw, and to help those authorities looking...
What? Okay, that's actually a good question. Why are royals asking Andrew for money? Like, aren't they part of the royal family? Like, why are they asking for money from Epstein?
Into Epstein's crimes.
And a reminder that being included in the files doesn't imply any wrongdoing. They stretch back decades, but they've set a bomb off under contemporary British politics.
Final nail in the coffin were these emails from 2009. Market-sensitive data sent straight from the heart of number 10 to the paedophile financier. This, when he was Gordon Brown's business secretary, sealed the fate of a man who had already been forced out of public life twice before. Keir Starmer brought him back last year as our man in the US, a stunning political appointment to get Britain in with the Trump administration. But the political honeymoon didn't last long. In September, a birthday book from 2003 was released, where he described Epstein as his...
Ooh, did y'all see that?
Birthday book.
Happy birthday, Jeffrey. We love you. This is, by the way, the former what's his name? Mandelson or something like that, who's the former British prime minister or ambassador to the US. The ambassador to the US. He's like in a big trouble now, okay? And he wrote this. Happy birthday, Jeffrey. We love you. Why are you loving a P3DO? I'm confused.
From 2003.
Yes, he's currently being investigated. But personally, I think that more than the SA charges, what caused him to get investigated is because he passed on secret information, like sensitive information to Epstein. Thank you very much for the galaxy. So I think that is what got him in more trouble than the P3Dophilia, because he passed on he forwarded emails with sensitive information to Epstein, which I'm asking again, who did Epstein work for? Who did he work for? Why was Epstein in all of these like politicians' pockets, and why was it important for them to pass on all this information to him? Who is the boss? I actually do not even think it's Israel. Listen, don't get me wrong, okay? Israel is a genocidal state. But I don't think that they even have this much power. Right? I actually don't even think they have this much power. Like whoever he was working for most definitely had such immense power. Like I don't know. And I don't even think it's Trump. I don't even think it's Trump. Because remember one of the journals, the girl said that Trump was trying his hardest to impress Epstein. Why would a person who Epstein works for try to impress him? Because in one of the not the journal, sorry, one of the reports from one of the victims, she said that Trump always tried his hardest to impress Epstein. If Epstein was working for Trump, Trump would not have tried his hardest to impress him. So Epstein was working for somebody else who, stay with me here, somebody else who was more powerful than Trump. And somebody else who was more powerful than Netanyahu. That is my opinion. I think that Epstein was working for somebody who was more powerful than Netanyahu, who was more powerful than Trump. Somebody who's way up there, who's connected to everybody, who wants information on everybody. Somebody who is behind the scenes. And that is what makes it even scarier. I think what makes it even scarier is the person who Epstein was working for is a person who was behind the scenes.
Was released where he described Epstein as his best pal. The Prime Minister.
Ew. Let me see your P3DO. If you're saying he's your best pal, he's your P3DO.
Sacked him after Number 10 said he lied about his contact with the convicted sex offender. But the scale of the relationship didn't become fully clear until the US...
Also, the reason as to why I say it cannot be Trump and it cannot be Netanyahu is because Epstein has been doing this for decades. Since like the early 80s, I think. Way before any of these two particular politicians or people had this much power. So, and yeah, Trump is kind of too stupid. So, whoever this guy was working for, Epstein was working for, definitely had a lot of power from back in the day. And yes, I agree. I do think that person probably comes from old money. I do think whoever Epstein was working for definitely came from old money, because Epstein was a math teacher who did not have a degree and then all of a sudden became so incredibly rich, being able to purchase all of these islands, all of these ranches. Where did he get the money from? Whoever Epstein was working for was a person with an immense amount of money that was able to give him that money and open up all these avenues. That's what I think.
Department of Justice released 3 million new Epstein files. Not only are there pictures of him in his underwear in Epstein's flat in Paris and documents showing payments from Epstein to Mandelson's husband, there's no suggestion of any wrongdoing from him, but the bombshell emails appearing to show he was leaking repeatedly to Epstein with a final straw. The calls then began for him to be stripped of his peerage from across the political spectrum. Finally, with the writing on the wall, he has gone.
I've decided to inform the House that the Clerk of the Parliament has today received notification from Lord Mandelson of his intention to retire from the House, effective from 4th February.
I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it.
What on earth just happened? Well, what you saw there is a government in full-blown retreat. It might not have looked like it, but make no mistake, this was a humiliating defeat, because not only do the government have to disclose all of the Mandelson files...
Somebody said Vatican. Not gonna lie, if it turned out that somebody in the Vatican was the boss, I would not be surprised. I feel like the Vatican as an entity, for centuries, they've had enough money. Like, I would not be surprised. Like, again, this is just a speculation, by the way, because we don't know who the boss is, okay? Who the big boss is. But an entity like the Vatican, I would say, like, to me, would be something that could be powerful enough to be considered the boss. Like, I don't even think it's like Epstein and Trump or Netanyahu or something. I would think it's an institution like the Vatican, something that would be similar. I think the Vatican would be something that's powerful enough to be Epstein's boss.
But they don't get to decide which bits of it to hold back in the name of national security. They have to hand that decision over to the Parliament Intelligence and Security Committee. And who forced them to do that? Their own MPs.
There are well-worn filters through Parliament, through the Select Committee corridor, and there are various committees that could have locus in this space.
Yes, sorry. Somebody in the chat said, even with all his connections, I still feel like Epstein was a lower level foot soldier. Yes. Epstein was a lower level foot soldier because he was the fall guy. Him being the fall guy goes to show that he was lower level. He wasn't the head of the whole scheme. He was just the fall guy. He was doing his job well. He was, he was doing the job well, but then when things got too messy, they chose him to be the fall guy because he was not the head of the whole scheme. He still had somebody who he was working for. And the thing is, maybe he wasn't even working on his own. Maybe there were multiple Epsteins. Maybe there were multiple Epsteins. That's why we were talking about it yesterday or before yesterday. Maybe they don't even need a replacement because there were already multiple Epsteins who were doing it. Right?
To properly and sensitively handle information. I think there is consensus, Mr. Speaker, that everybody wants as much information as possible in the public domain so that we can get to the bottom of what has happened.
Now, that intervention, and all of it, I should say, was kicked off by none other than Angela Rayner earlier in the debate, only came about because Labour MPs don't trust their own government. They want independent oversight of the Mandelson files. And if that wasn't a low point, it gets even worse for Keir Starmer because the Met Police has now said that they don't want the government to release any evidence that might prejudice their investigation. The very evidence that Keir Starmer wants to release to prove to his MPs that...
Look how close he is to Trump. Oh my God, so slimy. I wonder if they were this close because they knew each other from the parties. Because we know both of them went to these parties. Look how close he is to Trump. Maybe they're old friends from these parties and that's why they're like really giddy,
His MPs, that he really was deeply misled by Mandelson. So that's another problem for Keir Starmer. The PM is in a serious bind because he needs to prove to his MPs that he was seriously misled. And I can tell you that his MPs are febrile, some of them feeling very, very compromised and wondering what they should do next. So this is a huge scandal. It's potentially the biggest political scandal of this century. How on earth did we get here?
Mandelson betrayed our country, our parliament, and my party.
Over the weekend, it emerged that Peter Mandelson, when he was in government in 2009, leaked market-sensitive, top-secret government information to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And to give you a sense of how serious this is, Mandelson is now under criminal investigation.
I will look up The Apprentice right after this. Sadly, I'll say this. very, very sadly, I think this is what got him in trouble from with the British government, and not necessarily the P3dophilia. Is that very sad to say? I don't necessarily think the British government even cares about the P3dophilia, because if they did, they would have held Andrew accountable. Okay? I think what's actually kind of like what actually got him into like a huge problem is the fact that he shared sensitive information with Jeffrey Epstein. I think that is what got him in trouble, but not necessarily the P3dophilia, because if they actually cared, they would have also done something to Andrew.
Investigation for this, for misconduct in public office and leaking confidential government information. And if he's prosecuted and convicted, well, he could face jail time. So that is pretty enormous, and I don't need to tell you how bad it looks. But that isn't where it ends, because the scandal has come right to the door of the current Prime Minister. And that's because last year, Keir Starmer personally brought Peter Mandelson back into government as the ambassador in Washington for the UK. It was a massive job, and I don't need to tell you that the Prime Minister has now massively ruined the day he took that decision.
I regret appointing him. If I knew then what I know now, he would never have been anywhere near government.
Peter Mandelson has said, I was wrong to believe Epstein following his conviction and to continue my association with him afterwards. I apologise unequivocally for doing so to the women and girls who suffered. Epstein
Oh my
cultivated
God.
an extraordinary social network. Again, being included in these files is
So he apologizes only after he got caught.
Just how extensive and just how highly placed his acquaintances were. One of those names is the world's richest man, Elon Musk. He's always denied any close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, but they exchanged numerous emails trying to arrange a visit for Musk to Epstein's island in the Caribbean. And one of them, Musk goes on to write this: what day, night will be the wildest party on your island?
Oh, this is the one we read today, the email.
Now, Musk has addressed those allegations directly on X. He wrote,
He said, no one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly. I'm so sorry. This guy is so full of shit. He said, and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, but was well aware that some email correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by detractors to smear my name. I don't care about that, but what I do care about is what we at least attempt to prosecute those who committed serious crimes with Epstein, especially regarding heinous exploitation of underage girls. I'm so sorry. He's saying he rejected the invitation. Is this not Musk saying what day, night will be the wildest party on your island? This is not the only email, by the way. There are multiple emails of him asking, can I go to your island? Can you send a helicopter for me? What time can I go to your island? What party is there? Multiple emails. So why is he lying now? Oh my God, what a sack of shit. I'm so sorry. Pardon my French. If y'all are sensitive to me cussing, that's okay. But I'm like pissed off. What a sack of shit.
Directly on X. He wrote, no one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, but was well aware that some email correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by detractors to smear my name. I don't care about that, but what I do care about is that we at least attempt to prosecute those who committed serious crimes with Epstein, especially regarding heinous exploitation of underage girls.
Elsewhere in these files, an assistant to Epstein asks to bring 2 Russian girls to Branson's private island. This is April 2013. There's a reply that reads, that's fine, How many people? Could we have all names?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Richard Branson asking how many girls. Could we have all the names, please? Oh my God.
Please. Best, Richard. Branson's team has confirmed that there were 2 brief business meetings on Necker Island in April and September 2013. In a statement, a spokesperson...
Okay, wait. He said they're just business meetings. Why do you have to go all the way to the island for a business meeting? Could you not have called Epstein? Also, what business meeting do you have with this man? Could you not have, I don't know, sent him an email? You know, the same way, Andrew was like, I went all the way to America to tell him I don't want to meet you again. Okay, can this could have been a meeting, sir.
Or the Virgin Group said any contact Richard and Joan Branson had with Epstein took place on only a few occasions, more than 12 years ago, and it was limited to group or business settings. The statement goes on, had they had the full picture and information, there would have been no contact whatsoever. Richard believes that Epstein's actions were abhorrent and supports the right to justice for his many victims.
Bill Gates is the latest high-profile figure to face pressure after being named in the files. This photo of him is taken from there. We don't have the context around it. And again, merely appearing in...
Let's not forget that one email from Bill Gates, not Bill Gates, that one guy where he's telling Epstein, I can't forget the question you asked Bill with regards to how do we get rid of all poor people everywhere. Remember that email? Yeah.
Ours isn't a suggestion of wrongdoing. Now, in one email sent by Jeffrey Epstein to himself, a draft email that was never sent on to anyone else, he accuses Bill Gates of catching a sexually transmitted infection and then secretly trying to provide antibiotics to his wife at the time, Melinda Gates. Bill Gates has rejected that allegation, saying it is false, and says he regrets ever meeting Jeffrey Epstein. Now, in another email sent by Epstein to himself, he says that he was helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of
helping Bill to get substances in order to deal with consequences of sex with Russian girls.
Sex with Russian girls. Again, he's denied his allegations, but his wife, Melinda Gates, his ex-wife, has said that he has to answer some questions.
For me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
The co-founder of...
Thank you, Ari, for the raid. Am I mistaken? Didn't Melinda say... Thank you, Ari, for the raid. Didn't Melinda say that one of the contributors to the divorce was his friendship with Epstein? Thank you, Ari, for the raid. W. Ari, appreciate you. Thank you so much. She said one of the contributing... she did say that. Okay.
Microsoft has not been accused by any of Epstein's victims, and he called the allegations absurd and completely false.
Thank you, Ari. W. Ari, for the raid. I appreciate you so much, Ari. Thank you for the raid.
He also spoke on Australia's Channel 9.
I met Jeffrey in 2011, so over a period of 3 years, I had a number of dinners with him. The focus was always, he knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. You know, it's
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Bill Gates was at that point in time the richest man in the world. You're telling me the richest man in the world needed to be introduced to other rich people? How does this make sense? You mean to tell me that the richest, like at that point, now he's not the richest man anymore, but back then during that time, he was the richest man in the world. You mean to tell me the richest man in the world needs help with networking? And that's why he needed to meet a P3DO to help him network? How does that make sense?
Actually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
The Clintons have capitulated. That's how they're framing it here on Capitol Hill. For months, Bill and Hillary Clinton had refused to testify before the Congressional Committee investigating Jeffrey Epstein. They said subpoenas issued by the Republican chair of that committee, James Comer, were invalid and not legally enforceable. The former president and former Secretary of State accused him of targeting...
This is such an evil couple. I just wanted to say, both of these couples are evil. Can I just say that? Sometimes you see a couple where one of them are evil, the other one is not evil, whatever it is. Both of these bitches are evil. I just wanted to say that. Both of these fucking bitches are evil. The amount of times that Bill Clinton is pictured in the Epstein files, his photos, we saw them, disgusting. The amount of shit that Hillary Clinton has done, disgusting. Both of them pieces of shit.
Them for opposing Donald Trump and vowed to fight this. But things changed when some Democrats on the panel joined Republicans in a vote recommending that they be charged with criminal contempt. If the Justice Department chose to prosecute them, they faced up to a year in jail and fines of up to $100,000. President Clinton had offered to sit for a 4-hour transcribed interview. Mrs. Clinton had offered to make a sworn declaration instead of testifying. But the chairman of the committee described that as a desire for special treatment and an affront to the American people's desire for transparency. Bill Clinton will be the first former president to appear before Congress since Gerald Ford did so way back in 1983. When President Trump was subpoenaed by the committee investigating the January 6th raid on the Capitol, he sued the panel and they backed down. Bill Clinton was acquainted with...
This is one, by the way, this is a photo that I showed a couple of days ago. Very interesting. A couple of days ago, I showed multiple photos. On many of them, Bill Clinton was there. There was even a photo where multiple photos where he was there with Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey was also there. The three P3DO musketeers.
Epstein, but has said he never visited his private island and ended contact with him 2 decades ago. Hillary Clinton says she never met or spoke to Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, in his 2024 memoir called Citizen, My Life After the White House, Bill Clinton wrote, "The bottom line is, even though it allowed me to visit the work of my foundation, traveling on Epstein's plane was not worth the years of questioning afterward. I wish I had never met him." Epstein led a billionaire's life, and he led it brazenly. Prosecutors did repeatedly try to uncover the full truth of Epstein's crimes. The newest files contain a deposition of Epstein from 2010, part of a civil lawsuit. He invoked US constitutional amendments to refuse to answer questions.
How did you meet Ghislaine Maxwell? I intend to respond to all relevant questions to this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit and must accept this advice or risk losing my right to effective representation. Accordingly, therefore, I assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right to the U.S. Constitution.
Oh my God.
But his crimes, which went for so long unpunished, eventually led him somewhere very different. Detention.
Thank you very much for the gifts. Oh my God. Bro. Oh my God.
Lord Peter Mandelson pictured in his underwear with a young woman.
Oh my God. This is Mandelson. Oh my God. This is the British ambassador to the US. And he's there with a young woman.
Lord Peter Mandelson, pictured in his underwear with a young woman inside a property linked to convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
A room full of scriptwriters couldn't pen something more damaging or more improbable than this whole scandal.
And another disturbing image, a former prince crouched over a young woman.
I'm gonna crash out, y'all. Do all of these mainstream media outlets just get the same script? Or is it just a misogyny? Is it just a misogyny? Is that it? Cause why are they all saying young woman? These are minors, they're girls. They could use the word girl, child, either way. But why are they trying to adultify minors?
Images are rather shocking with this very sort of lascivious grin on his face.
These images, showing two of the UK's most powerful men, were published by the US Department of Justice last week, part of a massive 3.5 million document release known as the Epstein Files.
Ew. Can y'all believe that Crown Princess of Norway was saying that he was handsome? This face right here. She was saying he was giving her butterflies. That Crown Princess of Norway. This is the face.
Who was meaningfully involved with Jeffrey Epstein either liked what he was doing, didn't care about what he was doing, or was deliberately indifferent to what he was doing.
There were holiday snaps of former President Bill Clinton and Epstein released, and messages from Elon Musk asking for an invite to Epstein's wildest party.
Elon Musk has shown himself to be an absolute and total liar and prevaricator with regard to Jeffrey Epstein.
In other draft emails, Epstein claims Bill Gates sought medication for a sexually transmitted disease, a claim the Microsoft co-founder strongly denies. Channel 9 aired an interview with him today.
It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women.
His ex-wife Melinda French Gates responded to the files.
Buckingham Palace.
The woman has hired US Attorney Brad Edwards. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor did not respond to 7:30.
By the way, this is how he is, how he's living after he's had his title stripped. Right? This is how he's living after he has had his title stripped. He's living his life.
These inquiries.
But he said nothing. I mean, he's gone out riding. He seems to be happy to go out in public and seems very cheerful. And that is part of the problem, that he doesn't have any sense of remorse. He's not going to apologize.
Biographer Andrew Loney spent years researching the former prince.
What's happened is he's had a title removed, which hasn't really been removed, and he's had to downsize to a 5-bedroom house, which he's never going to live in probably anyway. So I don't think it's a great deal of punishment.
Britain's former ambassador to the USA, Lord Peter Mandelson, appears repeatedly in the Epstein files.
Peter Mandelson is one of the most prominent politicians in Britain in the last 40 years.
Documents show that between 2003 and 2004, Epstein appears to have sent 3 separate payments of $25,000 referencing Lord Mandelson.
To have Epstein, of all people, giving him this money and then him replying to emails within seconds about you couldn't make it up, actually.
According to UK politics expert Martin Farr, the most significant document dates from December 2009, when Epstein emailed Lord Mandelson asking him to intervene on Britain's bankers' bonus policy. Mandelson replied, "I am on case." Martin Farr argues the exchange raises serious questions about misconduct in public office.
Oh, wow.
He's actually committing, in one sense, treason. He's working with foreign nationals to undermine his government from within for financial purposes, for financial inducements.
London's Metropolitan Police confirmed they have launched an investigation into a 72-year-old former government minister for alleged misconduct in public office. Lord Peter Mandelson has since resigned from the House of Lords. In January 2014, Epstein emailed an associate, writing, "Kevin Rudd will also be on the phone."
Wait.
Later that year, a further email refers to a scheduled meeting with the former Prime Minister. In a statement to 7:30, a spokesperson for Kevin Rudd said his office has no record.
Wait, who is Kevin Rudd again? Hold on. Kevin Rudd. Oh, 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 ha. What? So Epstein also met up with the former Prime Minister of Australia? Holy shit! This guy was implicating everybody.
Of this meeting, and he has never corresponded with Jeffrey Epstein or ever visited any of
Oh, please. Of course he's gonna say that. Oh no, we didn't meet up with him. Then why are you in the emails? Why are you on the on the planner?
Jeffrey Epstein's houses.
This is standard operating procedure for Jeffrey Epstein. He insinuated himself into the lives and the meetings of the rich and powerful, and very often by acting as if he was in those circles.
Clive Palmer is mentioned in a text message from Steve Bannon, a former advisor to Donald Trump, to Jeffrey Epstein, which reads, I had Clive Palmer do the
$60 million anti-China and climate change ads. Now, who is Clive Palmer? Clive Palmer is an Australian billionaire businessman and politician. Why is a billionaire a politician? If you ask me, I personally don't think billionaires should be allowed to be politicians. Genuinely. If you guys ask me, I don't think billionaires should be be in politics. The only people who should be allowed in politics are your average people who come from the people. Because how is a billionaire going to represent your general population? Like, how is a billionaire going to know how hard it is to live paycheck to paycheck? How is a billionaire going to know how hard it is to be a single parent or to have children you can't afford? How is a billionaire going to know how it feels like to stress over rising costs? How is a billionaire going to know any of that? How is a billionaire gonna identify with any of that? And if they can't identify with that, why are they representing all these different people whom they can't identify with? I'm confused. Billionaires should not even exist. That's true. I don't even think billionaires should exist. Okay? But now that they exist, I don't even think they should be in in politics. By the way, somebody said I should search up The Apprentice. Hold on. Oh my god. What is this? The beneficiary is willing to benefit from the apprentice's experiences, skills, and generosity in the framework of his amusements. Hold on, what is this? Between Mr. Jeffrey Edward Epstein, hereafter referred to as the beneficiary, and redacted. It has been agreed as follows. The beneficiary is willing to benefit from the apprentice's experience, skills, and generosity in the framework of his amusements. In this context, the parties have agreed to conclude this agreement of favors, the agreement by which the apprentice will provide on an independent basis fun, pleasure, and assistance in relation to the various forms of amusement of the beneficiary. The terms and conditions of these activities are specified in the present agreement. It is specified that the apprentice's obligations towards the beneficiary pursuant to the agreement are those of an independent contractor, and that the apprentice shall work independently. Thus, the relationship between the apprentice and the beneficiary shall not be requalified as employment relationship or an agency relationship. It is hereby agreed that the apprentice will provide the beneficiary with the following favors. Number 1, presenting beautiful women. The apprentice will find beautiful women among her friends and acquaintances. Their appearance, age, and ethnical origins are subject to oral discussions with the beneficiary. Accompanying for swimming naked in places with no danger. Oh my God. How is this a work contract? How is this a work contract? Accompanying for swimming naked in places with no danger. Stripping, which includes taking off clothes slowly. Making full body massages. Posing naked for the beneficiary in case he wishes to draw or for other purposes primarily discussed. This guy was drawing? Posing naked for the beneficiary in case he wishes to draw or for other purposes primarily discussed. Playing sexual games which both the beneficiary and the apprentice enjoy. As it follows below, the beneficiary's obligations may include teaching the apprentice to enjoy new sexual games to which she has never been exposed before. The beneficiary shall provide to the apprentice necessary means, environment, information, as well as good humor and playfulness for the performance of the favors. The apprentice shall perform the favors in accordance with the provisions of this agreement and in the best interest of the beneficiary. Clause 2. Favors compensation. The apprentice will grant the above-mentioned favors on the voluntary basis as the gratitude for previous serious services the beneficiary provided to the apprentices. However, the beneficiary will assist the apprentice in teaching her new things about adult life. Oh my God. The apprentice is a minor, isn't she? Oh my God, the apprentice is a minor, isn't she? That's why he's saying he's going to teach her about adult life. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. The apprentice will grant the above. However, the beneficiary will assist the apprentice in teaching her new things about adult life, emotional intelligence. How is a P3DO going to teach you anything about emotional intelligence? I'm confused. Emotional intelligence, interpersonal relations, and sex if he wishes to do so. The beneficiary will try his best to take the apprentice to the United Nations building in New York for an excursion and a live conference during which the favors can be provided to the beneficiary. Where's clause 3? Did they just skip clause 3? Clause 4, term, the agreement shall commence on 2011. Its duration is unlimited. Either party may terminate this agreement upon written notice sent by email or text message to the other party if that other party fails to cure any breach of this agreement within 30 days. After receiving such written notice, the right for each party to terminate the agreement for breach is without prejudice to the right to claim damages for breach agreement. Claim 5, confidentiality. The apprentice undertakes to keep strictly confidential and not to disclose any information that she acquires during the performance of the favors to third parties at any time, either during or after the termination of the agreement. Clause 6, insurance. The apprentice undertakes to take all necessary insurance policies covering any risk and damage that might arise from or in connection with the performance of her obligations. Clause 7, miscellaneous. The fact that either party fails to invoke any provision of this agreement or to claim breach of such provision shall not be interpreted to mean that the party has renounced the benefit conferred on it by the provision. If any provision of this agreement is declared to be null and void or unenforceable for whatever reason, the remaining provisions of the agreement shall not be affected and shall remain in full force and effect. The parties hereby agree to replace any such provision held to be null and void or unenforceable by a new and valid provision. Any correspondence between the parties in relation to this agreement shall be sent to the email addresses indicated at the beginning of this agreement. Clause 8, governing law and jurisdiction. This agreement is governed by French law. The Tribunal de Première Instance of Paris shall have exclusive jurisdiction to settle any dispute arising out of or in connection with this. Why France? Why is this governed by French law? What? Hold on. Why is this governed by French law? Was this signed with a French? Was she a French citizen? Is it because they're a minor? Is that why? Is it because they're a minor? Is that it? Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. What is this? It says here, Mr. Jeffrey Edward Epstein, misredacted. This agreement is governed by French law. Okay, so the clauses. He says, but do we need all of this? I don't personally. And then he says, oh my God, he's talking to the person. He's saying, look what a beautiful agreement I made. That's a subject matter. Then he says, this is for you to learn business. We need nothing but a smile. Then she says, I miss you, Jeffrey, your playfulness. It is when the intensive or didactic classes take place, they're really good. I don't know who he's talking to here. His assistant? Nice talking to you on the phone. Thanks for the not, but I really prefer staying in New York when you are around so I won't feel lonely in such a big apple. Keep me updated, please, if you plan to be there during these dates. Is there call soon? These span the Thanksgiving holidays when no one is in New York. Where is my photo? These are other dates. Yes, which background you wish to have me at. I will go for lunch now. Can take it in some place around Place Vendome. Good morning, dear. Who is he talking to? Oh God. Okay, so some people sent me some other documents, but let's look them up. So this is EFTA 01613542. Oh God, I just saw Disney. Ugh. EFTA 0081347 2. Okay. EFTA 01848 76 2. Okay. EFTA 027222199. Oh, this is the apprentice thing, okay. And then EFTA 02715358. Okay, let's see what all these are. Good morning, Jeffrey. To view the shared photo, go to login, Skype, file name, the names, girl who I work with from Ukraine, 22. Oh. Holy fuck. He's telling him girl who I work with from Ukraine, 22. Then Jeffrey tells, okay, Jeffrey then tells him, I prefer your sister's friend that she showed, all who is going to Disney with you. Yes, you spoke with her. She said she'll be in Moscow and she can Skype. Little redacted, my sister and I. Redacted supposed to come, but agency canceled her trip because she doesn't have enough days in Schengen visa, so she's European. Thank you for Disney. Thank you for Disney. I wonder if Little Redacted has any other friends. I'll pay for Redacted's ticket if you like. I don't know what happened with Redacted. She wrote me more bullshit, but she told the photos for me. I think you should tell her that you know she asked your sister about making boys jealous. I only like honesty. Making a plan to get me to react is always a very bad idea. Why are these people letting them ask him about ask them about their sisters? This is how you know they're sickos. They don't even protect their sisters and their sisters' friends. I think Little Redacted probably knows many girls because she has been traveling. I'll ask Redacted. What do you want me to tell her? Should she leave? What do you want me to tell her? Should she leave? Then he says, let's wait until Monday. I want to be kind to her, but I'm very disappointed, and with you, we'll figure out what's good for her. You've been great. Jeffrey, I'm so disappointed as well. Didn't expect this from her. If Little Redacted has other friends that might want to go to Disneyland with you, let me know. I'll be back Monday. Oh my God, they're taking them to Disneyland. I'll ask. Thank you. He keeps calling her Little Redacted. Hi, Jeffrey. How are you? I was wondering if Redacted can come for one day and go with us to Disney. The very idea of Epstein going to Disney to me is just disturbing me to my core, y'all. Leslie sent me tickets. Thank you very much. Yes, both Redacted and you deserve to have fun. Reminder, also always focusing on giving. Getting will take care of itself. What happened to the friend of your sister? Thank you, Jeffrey. Sister friend will be back in Moscow in a few days and she can Skype. We're in touch with her. I will see Little Redacted today. I suggest you speak to her and tell her to try to grow up. How is he talking to a minor and asking them to grow up? Sure, I will. Do you want me to tell her anything particular? Wait until tomorrow to talk to her, but she needs to see a gynecologist. But she prioritizes work crazy. Okay, I understand. Oh my God, why does she need to see a gynecologist? Hi, Jeffrey. We are in the process of removing data from bots and making a clean report which I will share with you in a few hours. Overlap, Trump is way more popular than Clinton. Regards, Zubair. Hi, Jeffrey. It looks like Trump is back in game. We processed 11 million tweets this week for Trump, and 50.3% are positive, and only 20.66% are negative, whereas Clinton is 56.05% negative and 20.0% positive. We're trying to correlate that into popular vote outcome and electoral votes received. Regards, Zubair. Oh, this is the butt plug one. I already read that one, yeah. Whereas telling them to get a bigger butt plug and dildo they can insert. The beneficiary one as well. We read that one. Yes, processed. That's what he said. Processed. Whoa, wait. Hold on. Do y'all see that header? Do y'all see this? Oh my God. Kids for Cash invite. Hold on. Somebody asked me to check Discord. So apparently, DOJ deleted Epstein emails of girls being bought and sold. Oh my God. Oh my God. The DOJ had deleted a series of emails from the Epstein file showing emails and images of girls to be bought and sold. The other participants of the emails have been redacted. Oh my God. The Kids for Cash, though. What is this? Please let us know if you will be able to join us on Monday, October the 20th for a special screening of Kids for Cash. What is Kids for Cash screening? I'm confused. Kids for Cash scandal was a political scandal that occurred in Lucerne County, Pennsylvania in 2009. Michael Coanan and Mark Ciavarella, two Democrat judges at the Luzerne County Court of Common Pleas in Wilkes-Barre, were exposed for receiving kickbacks in return for harsh adjudications on juvenile delinquents to increase occupancy at a private prison operated by PA Childcare. They sent thousands of children in Lucerne County to extended stays in private youth detention centers for minor offenses, some as trivial as trespassing in a vacant building and mocking an assistant principal of MySpace despite complaints being filed against the judges for their excessive adjudications. Okay, and this is like a documentary about that, but why is it called Kids for Cash? And why are they specifically reading this? Like watching this? I'm sorry. These are all sickos. I'm not gonna lie. It's an auction. Oh, did they just name it that, but it was actually an auction? Were these emails called Kids for Cash? Okay, y'all, this is so disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. This is actually so fucking disturbing. Wait, there's an untitled attachment as well. Kids for Cash. What was that? I missed that. Kids for Cash is what people call CPS. Oh. 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 Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services. That's what CPS stands for. I mean, to be fair, like again, this is just like I don't think there's like a direct link. We do know that they were looking for vulnerable children, though. We do know that they're we do know that they do get, and they target specifically, like the demographic that they target are vulnerable children. That's who they target specifically, right? So they're gonna target yes, exactly, Midnight. I just checked the documentary as well, because the documentary was released in 2013. So I'm guessing if it was released in 2013, them watching it a year later kind of like lines up, you know? But it's just the name is kind of very weird. Understand the geography that West Palm Beach is very affluent and Palm Beach is very poor. What about those foster swap groups? Sounds like this was connected. Yeah, the thing that she said before, by the way, one of the girls, what was that thing again? I read it here. Hold on. That one program she said that was specifically not helping girls, but it instead, hold on. What was that thing? Fuck. Gonna look for it. The Starlight thing? No, stay alert, stay alert, stay alert. That one. That I'm gonna do a deep dive into. Stay alert. Because one of the girls who wrote the journal said they used that program to look for more people. No, I have not looked up Melissa Farley yet. Hold on. Melissa Farley, an American clinical psychologist and radical feminist anti-pornography. Oh God, why would she be in the Epstein files? Is she in the Epstein files? Melissa Forley. Oh God, she is. Why are they looking up her stuff? It's just an, okay, so she isn't actually in the file. They're just, oh, she was a therapist who trafficked kids? She's not really in here though. They just have like an article that's written by her. And then they're describing here, hold on. As a clinician, does more presentations than publishing. Master's, PhD papers are not about trauma. Doctoral program, 6 years, master's a component of it. Doing coursework focused on eating disorders, forensic psychology, trauma psychology, hostility, and violence in the lives of women. They just have like a lot of information on her. CV is from 21. LR has served as an invited peer reviewer for articles in trauma psychology. Attends specialized training. Grooming is a term that has been used to refer to the process by which a perpetrator both identifies and isolates an intended victim for purposes of SA and gradually builds a relationship that typically also then involves desensitization. Other terms, tactics, strategies, modus operandi, these are used to get compliance. From 1980s until now, literature has been highly consistent in the strategies, even if used different names. Most perpetrators use manipulation, coercion, and nonviolent strategies to attain that maintain power. Why do they have this in the files? Because this is the stuff that they were doing. No, but she's not really in here. Whereas Stay Alert, hold on, I want to see if that is in here. Oh. 13. Okay. Mostly hurricane warnings, yeah. Okay, y'all. Anyways, yeah, they were scouting her. It was interesting that they're gathering information on the stuff that she's done, including like her articles. But so I think I'm gonna end it here. I have been live for 4 hours, so I'm gonna end it here, y'all. I don't think I can go beyond 4 hours. I'm not gonna lie. Because this is very, very traumatizing. I know that we're doing this together, all of us, and it kind of makes it a little bit easier to do it together. But still, like, it is very, very traumatizing. It's mentally draining. And so I don't think I can do more than 4 hours. 4 hours is just the max, is the cap for me. So, I'm just gonna do 4 hours. I am gonna do a deep dive into Stay Alert. I'll try to do a deep dive into everything else as well. And then all the other people that we mentioned today. By Monday, you guys will find a channel in my Discord server. with all of the documents that I have been reading for the past couple of days. And also all the YouTube videos, the lives will be uploaded to YouTube as well. My Discord is in the link tree in my bio. My YouTube is also in the link tree in my bio. The Discord link sometimes gets broken. So what you'd have to do is you have to open it up in a browser and then it works. So if you open up the Discord server in a browser, then it works and you can join it. The YouTube is also in the link tree in my bio. I'll be uploading all my lives there. I'll be creating a specific channel for Epstein files, and I'll be adding everything. I'll just dump everything, the photos, the files, just everything. I'll just dump it in there so you guys can have access to them. Other than that, I will be back tomorrow, but tomorrow's going to be a different live. There is a dangerous creator on this app who has been preying on women, specifically vulnerable women that they have been grooming and manipulating. And some of the victims have reached out to me and have asked me if they can basically talk about their experiences. So that will be the live tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be, because this is again a victim safe, a survivor safe space. Survivors are always welcome to reach out to me. They're always welcome to use my platform as well if they want to say something, right? So some of the survivors reached out to me and they asked if they could use my platform to address this individual, to basically warn people about this particular individual as well. So tomorrow's live is going to be about that particular individual. It's going to be on the shorter side. But then on Monday, I will continue with the regular live. So tomorrow it's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern, as per usual. 2 p.m. Eastern, but instead of dealing with the Epstein files, we're going to be dealing with a couple of the survivors are going to come up on my panel, and they're basically going to share their experience of a man who basically tried to manipulate them and kind of groom them, if I'm not mistaken, and then take their money as well, right? So they wanted to warn a lot of women because he specifically targets women, specifically women of color, is who he targets as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. After tomorrow, I'm going to be addressing the Epstein files again. So, yes, I wanted to say that. 2 p.m. Eastern is going to be the live, so you guys can be worried about it. If you want to support me, my pay link is in the link tree in my bio. If you need Cash App, please DM me. Venmo as well, DM me, and I will give you all the information for that. But my PayPal is in the link tree in my bio. If you want to support me, you can gift me. I can get the link even on the web. If you're having trouble with my Discord server, DM me as well, and I'll try to message you the Discord server. We've been ending a lot of heavy lives. I'm not gonna lie, it has been really, really heavy. So my question is, should I end the live with like an Eritrean song, which is more uplifting? So that at least you can end the live with something that's very uplifting. So that at least, okay. So a lot of you know, I'm originally from a country called Eritrea. My community server is in the link tree in my bio, y'all. It's in the link tree in my bio. Hold on. How did I do this? It's in the link tree in my bio. Hold on, I'll show you guys. Oh, hold on. Let me sign in to my link tree. I'll show you guys where you can find it. Hold on, how do I do this? Okay, you see that right there? Hold on. So if you click on my link tree, this is what it looks like, right? Join the Weezer's community Discord. That's the Discord server. That's the second part. The first part is my pay link. And then the second part, join the Weezer's community Discord. That's it. Sometimes if you click on it, it doesn't work. So you have to open it in a browser and then it will work. And then you have to be verified. I try to verify you guys. I'll try to verify you guys after. But this is my Discord. And then if you scroll down to socials, there's my YouTube. So scroll down to socials and that's my YouTube. And in the middle are all the initiatives that I would be really happy if y'all supported. It's a really, really good initiatives. They're also here if you guys could share them, whatever it is. Yeah, they're really good initiatives. So, but this is my link tree. For now, I do not go live on YouTube, but yeah. So all of you have asked for Eritrean music. So if you guys have never heard Eritrean music, this will be your first time to encounter it. And you guys have asked for Eritrean music because I'm not gonna lie, it has been very heavy. Very, very heavy. So for that reason, I'm gonna be playing some Eritrean music to at least lighten up the mood a bit. So I always introduce people to my culture. Hold on, an ad. So we'll do that for now. At least right? Very nice. You have to do something nice for yourself. And I think that this is from a country called Eritrea, Eritrea. It's a country in the Horn of Africa. Where my people are originally from. And sometimes, we dance because we're alive. It's very important. We dance because we're alive, right? So sometimes dancing a bit gets your mind off of things. Who knows me knows this song. Hold on. This is another beautiful song. Look at this set on this one. And look at her closing. She looks so majestic. Look at her. Oh. If you want my cash app, just message me and I'll send it to you. Look how majestic she looks. This is a love song. She's telling the guy, this guy is so charismatic. He looks like a lion and I want him to inherit my body. That's what she's telling the guy. She's so beautiful. Hold on. Y'all want to know something about Eritrean music, by the way? It's always like 2-3 different songs basically in one part. Because now you see how she's singing that part, and then you have the dance break. Hey, hey, see that? Hey, 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 hey. Was it? Do you know how fun this is? Say Warasa. She's telling him, you inherit my body, please, it's yours. She's basically serenading him. That's what she's doing. Do y'all see how beautiful this is? You want to see something crazier? Look at this girl and how she balances. Hey, the beats. Oh, the strings. Oof, the strings. Oh my god. He's singing the daughter of my country, who else is like her? That's what they're singing. The daughter of my country, who else can be like her? Right? So he's singing praise to the daughter of his country, basically the woman of his country. Now look at this talented girl right here. Look at that. You see that? Yes, it is tradition to show how good you dance, to dance with a whole bottle of alcohol on your head. That's tradition. It's not Arabic, it's Tigrinya. It's like a languages present in Eritrea as well. So they're dancing with, like, that's literally tradition, by the way. You have to dance with a whole bottle of alcohol on your head to kind of illustrate how good of a dancer you are. You're shaking your shoulders without shaking your head. That's the talent. Look at her. Hey. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. She literally. Oh my god, hold on. Holy shit. Look at her get on her, like, knees and do it as well. Look at her. Hey, hey, oh my god, there she goes. You Oh, this is for Easter celebration. So this video was released because they were celebrating Easter, right? The video released for Easter celebrations. Beautiful video. beautiful, beautiful video. But just in general, like, the music is so beautiful, right? Beautiful. Anyways, I hope y'all really enjoyed that. This is, by the way, a very ancient country. It's called Eritrea. The language that you're listening to, the script, is even older than Arabic, by the way. It's very close to Aramaic as well. So it's called Ge'ez, the script, the writing system, and the language that evolved out of that, Tigrinya and Tigre, are very close to Ge'ez, right? They evolved out of that language. So this is a very ancient culture. It's an ancient people. Do a little deep dive into Eritrea, by the way. Look at the history. If you've ever heard of the land of Punt, Eritrea was actually a part of the land of Punt. If you've heard of the Aksum Empire, Eritrea was a part of the Aksum Empire, right? So, yeah, Punt, yes, P-U-N-T, the land of Punt. Eritrea is a part of Punt. So it's right at the water, right at the Red Sea, okay? I'll show it to y'all. Right at the Red Sea, a very, what the hell did I do? A very, very geographically important country. And unfortunately, because it is very important, it has also been a country that has been subject to a lot of turmoil and genocides and all those different things, okay? Right here. To the people asking if I was born there, no, I was not born there. I've actually never been there, but it stays in my heart. It wasn't a part of Ethiopia, it was colonized by Ethiopia, okay? It was colonized by Ethiopia, it wasn't from Ethiopia. My parents were there, but they had to leave during the 30-year genocide. Because yes, there was a 30-year genocide that really spread the population everywhere. Never got the blessings of being born there or ever going there, but it is still in my heart. But anyways, just wanted to say, very beautiful country, beautiful cultures, 9 ethnic groups, 9 different languages, 9 different cultures, 9 different dances. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So it's close to Yemen, exactly. It's actually one of the 3 countries that controls the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, by the way. Do you have any pictures? Yes, if you go to my my account, I have so many videos on Eritrea, by the way. If you go to my account, there's so many videos, heartbreaking videos about the situation of Eritreans, and also beautiful videos celebrating Eritrean culture. So if you go through my videos on TikTok, you will kind of get a glimpse of Eritrea. So yeah. Anyways, I love every single one of y'all. I hope, yes, I do have relatives there. I hope y'all have an amazing, should I stay until it's 600K? Oh my god, I'm almost at 600K. Y'all are so amazing. You know that? Amazing. Wow. 600, almost at 600K. Wow. What? I love y'all so much. Y'all are so supportive of me, genuinely. Y'all are very supportive of me, genuinely, very generous, very supportive. I appreciate y'all so very much. Literally, the amount of love I get inspires me to continue doing better. Just wanted to say that. Like, the amount of messages that I get, the amount of generosity that I get, the amount of people who support me in every possible way by just even being here and saying hello, right? Just wanted to say, you guys really, really, really inspire me to do better, to deliver better, and to continue doing what I do and raising awareness, and especially remembering victims and survivors, right? Who should not be forgotten, regardless where they are in the world. So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all so much. I will see y'all tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, again, 2 p.m. Eastern, to address the person who has been targeting specifically women of color. And then the day after that, we'll go back to the Epstein files. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Hope y'all have a blessed evening. Please be kind to yourselves. Do something nice for yourselves tonight, because the live was really heavy, and that's what
the start of America, I would say start in Europe, because
in this
that's
modern
where
day and time, things evolved, right? You have a such
right.
thing called the modern woman and a modern man, right?
There is no modern man. It's just a woman that's able to go to work.
Oh,
and
there's no modern
decide.
man, so we are still traditional men.
It's just. I mean,
No, I believe there's modern day men, because modern day men that want to do 50-50, I would call them modern day men, because they're not traditional men.
Or I would call them bad itches. They, there's modern men, and they want to be more
Remember the
feminine.
no profanity rule, but go ahead.
I said itches.
I know y'all, but don't make it close.
Itches.
Don't make it close, but go ahead.
Well, the modern men are upset that women have excelled beyond their but beyond the constraints that they had, and that they get the men that these other men want. The modern men, these modern men want the same men that the women want.
Gotcha.
That's what I
So
was saying.
you're basically calling y'all female dogs. Ruff, ruff.
Yeah, she is. It's cool though. I think modern man stances is that you guys are modern women, so you shouldn't be treated like traditional women, so you don't deserve traditional men. I think that's the
So
modern
what?
man aspect.
Okay, so if that's your definition, what is your actual definition of a traditional woman? Because if you look at tradition of what it, because that means that for you to ask me the question of where marriage started or where this idea is
Yeah, I
disingenuous.
didn't ask you about
Because
marriage at all. I just asked where that idea
oh
came
well, no, or somebody did. Somebody else did. Maybe somebody else did. I thought it came from you.
Mike's the only one talking.
Yes, so it was him. So that means
from.
that.
I didn't say
So
that,
when we
man, but go
talk
ahead.
about
He didn't say
traditional,
anything about marriage.
no, he said when did marriage start? He said that when. Didn't
All
you
right,
ask me
ma'am.
that?
Listen, I didn't say that. I asked you where did that idea came from. You dove into marriage, but let's continue.
Okay. All right. So what your idea? Please give me your idea of a traditional woman.
What do you mean?
What's your definition? Because you said a
It's not
traditional
my
woman.
definition, it's by definition. A traditional woman
Okay.
is one that takes care of the household. She does womanly duties such as cooking, cleaning, making sure the household is straight, providing for her man, assuring that he can go out and provide. So she's submissive to her man. She accepts leadership from the man, and she doesn't
It's
have a
chaste.
problem with that.
She's also chaste. She
Okay.
don't sleep
And so, what
around.
is a traditional male?
Absolutely, Brady. I forgot
There's
those. Those
a
are
lot of
important.
a lot of those things also kind of come to play majorly in modern society.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She's young. Let's talk about the
That's
real
not an
definition of
excuse. Well, the
that's
man's young
that's
too, though.
that's she's young. She's never been touched.
What are
She's
we talking about, brother?
uninfluenced, and she's young. What's a tradition? What's the traditional definition of a man?
Ma'am, I just gave it to you, and Brady added
I said
on.
a man. A man.
Oh, I
What's the
think a
traditional
traditional man.
definition?
I think a traditional man. He feels as if, hey, it's 2026. You ladies are getting all these degrees. You're making all this money. Let's put our pots
No, that's
together.
not.
Hold
I
on,
said,
ma'am.
what's the definition of a
I'm about to
traditional
give it to you,
man?
ma'am. You got to relax.
Wait,
So
I got
the
a question.
definition of a tradition, a modern man is the opposite of a
I
traditional
said a
man.
traditional. What is the
He said
definition
traditional.
of a traditional man?
My apologies. A traditional man is just a provider. He's a leader.
That's it.
Okay, I got a question for
Yeah, he
you,
has
Brady.
other
He's
characters,
a protector.
but
He's a
Okay,
like,
but why
head
do
of
you know so
household.
much about a
He's
traditional? No, Brady, you don't have to save him. Why do you have
save him.
such a
and this
distinctive
is a
thing
debate.
about what a traditional woman is, but you only got two definitions for what a traditional
Ma'am,
man is?
overall, what is your point? Can you fast track to your point, please? Because
The point
I'm losing you.
the point is that the men that create this idea and this thought about what women should and should not be are not necessarily the men that they are that they even a traditional woman would want. So all of this to me is
What?
really
A
cap.
traditional man is one who
I'm
sees
It's
women.
all it's all cap. It's all cap. This is
Exactly.
why nobody should be. That's why only broke men have these
Can I read the
conversations.
definition for
Wait,
you?
I got a
Nah, you good,
question
brother.
right
You
quick.
good.
Only
That'll finish.
broke men will be defending and be talking about what a modern woman is because a real man don't care about what a woman is doing.
Yes, we do. Men care,
No no no
ma'am.
Oh
no
yeah,
no 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 no
I
no.
got a
I'm
question
very
not.
for you,
traditional.
Goat
I'm
Hold on,
not.
hold on.
Okay.
Hey, listen, I'm a very traditional man, very traditional, and I do care very much what my wife does. Very, very
Absolutely.
much. It was one of the number one things in my dating pool is I had very hard guidelines of what I wanted my wife to be.
I'm
Very hard.
talking
I was
about her
very strenuous on it.
finances and her
Y'all didn't let her
education.
finish.
I'm
Okay, the
talking about her
finances.
finances and her education. And
Well, a
so you
traditional
can
man
look
wouldn't care
and
about that. Her
but
education
you
does
don't you
matter.
only gave me two definitions of a traditional man. So you can
I say he's a
expound on that.
provider, ma'am. By him being a provider, he's not relying on her income. What are you missing?
That's a traditional man, protect and provide.
So what are you missing about that? If he's
I
providing, he's
mean
not relying on her income at all.
okay,
So
so
what
you're
can you
not
do for
so then if a traditional man doesn't have a problem with a modern woman.
I disagree
Yeah, he
with that.
does.
Traditional
Yeah, he
men do
does. He has
not want
a major
modern women,
problem.
man.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I agree.
No.
Like traditional men do not
So
like
you
modern women.
need
No.
to expound on your definition of what a traditional man is.
Why I gotta keep expounding on the same thing we just
You
discussed?
only gave two
Okay,
definitions.
so